Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the final episode of FPL BlackBox this season. Don't worry, we'll be back. We'll be back next year. Or is it the description? I made it a little bit too cryptic, and we've already had some people saying, "Oh no, is it over?" Nah, we'll be back. Do it all again. These two will, have finished nicely, nestled in the top 100,000. I'll have nestled nicely in the top million. I'm sure it will all be roses. But it's a fun one. Lots to talk about. We're going to have a bit of a reflective episode. Look back on some of the highs and lows, mostly lows of this season. And talk a little bit about why this season has been different to every other season. Because we've got some things that might surprise you. Joining me, as always, we have Mr. Andy Mode. How are you, Andy?
I'm good, mate. Thank you so much for having me on again. I didn't think you'd invite me back on the show again after our Traitors experience where I betrayed you and backstabbed you, but it's good to see you've been the bigger man and you've got me back on.
Yep. And I'm glad you weren't on last week because I was half tempted to ruin it for you and ruin it for everyone because you were still in the game. So yeah, it was bad. We won't go on another rant about traitors, but just so you know, Andy, after playing with you 3 times, this was the worst. Yeah. This was the worst thing you've ever done to me in our whole friendship. So yeah, cheers for that.
Can I just describe it for Luke very, very quickly? Right. As was so excited because he finally got to be a traitor. And he was a secret traitor, so I didn't even know he was a traitor as well. I was a traitor, and I didn't know he was a traitor until about 4 or 5 days in. He finally joined us. We spent 2 days in harmony, and then basically he messed up in the game, and we all had to betray him as traitors. And he did not take it well. He took it so badly.
Wasn't going to talk about it. I'm going to talk about you did not have to betray me because I spent 2 hours convincing everyone that I was fine, and the only people to vote for me were the traitors and like one other person. It's absolutely shocking. Enough. Absolutely fuming. Luke, how are you? Let's talk all about you. How is my favourite co-host of FPL BlackBox? How you doing?
I'm good. Maybe I need to get involved in this traitors.
You should. You should.
It's good.
Yeah, but then I just think I'm 42 and what am I doing with my life? But anyway.
Yeah. We all think that. Once you get over 30, what are we doing playing FPL? What are we doing playing games? What are we doing?
I'm not in a position of power to be calling people out, am I?
just accept it. Do what makes you happy. That's what we do on this stream. We haven't seen you in a while. You been all right? You've been slowly climbing up the ranks, decent enough?
Yeah. It's kind of ending at the wrong time for me, this game. But I've left it way too late to make it a really impactful season. So at the same time, I'm just glad it will be over. Don't know whether I'll play World Cup Fantasy or not, but as I'm an addict, I'll probably get roped into that. And then we go again, as usual.
I'm not playing it. Andy, you're doing more content. You can't get enough. 2 streams a week and now World Cup content.
Yeah, I know. Can't get enough of it. I love it. I love doing the content for stuff. Sometimes I do think it would be quite nice to do the World Cup or the Euros without fantasy, just a pure watch. But I'd get 2 weeks in and be like, oh, I wish I was doing fantasy football. And I do it with my school as well, so that's good fun as well. But yeah.
I have the complete opposite. Every time a tournament rolls up, I think, thank God I'm not doing fantasy football. Halfway through the tournament, maybe this game isn't for me.
we do it at school. All the staff do it, and all the kids do it as well. And we do because we have a summer do. So as soon as school finishes, we have a summer do, and we basically say however many kids beat you in the league is how many shots you have to do at the summer do.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's quite good. I won it
with the
last year,
children
so I was
present
all right.
as well, by the way.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. We have to do it on the last day before we go into school.
Oh, nice. Are you going to do your, you do your Premier League? The kids all pick their favourite players. Is it? You should do that for the World Cup outsiders.
Yeah. I could do that. We'll see. Genuinely
one of my favourite tweets of the season. That one to actually give you a bit of credit. I know. I'm gutted.
Yeah. I'll bring it back.
Yeah, good. As I said, lots to talk about. Before we do, I want to just give a shout out to our sponsor with a little flashy graphic this time. It is, of course, the wonderful Manscaped, who've been incredibly generous this time out because they've sent us all one of these, which is the Hedger Plus. Not a ball trimmer. Don't worry. Haven't got to picture our balls. You can picture us shaving our faces instead. Although, Luke, you did get sent a ball trimmer and your neighbour picked it up, you were saying before the...
Yeah, not the easiest combo of my life, but thankfully you didn't open the package. You put on the front label for some reason FPL Luke. So
I did nothing. I did not send these out. These come from my personal stash. Don't blame me for this.
Okay. But it left it in a position where the neighbour was tempted to open it as a result to see if they could work out who FPL Luke was, because it made no sense to him. So yeah, had that been the ball shaver, that would have been an awkward conversation when it worked out it was me. So I'm thankful.
Absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. Well, talking purely about the face for this episode, because they have brought out a new beard trimmer. I've used the Manscaped beard trimmer, I don't know, 3-4 years, something like that. This one has come out. It is a lot smaller, and the other one was a little bit annoying because it couldn't quite reach top of the lip. This one gets right in the little nooks and crannies. Andy, you've been using it as well.
I have.
Thoughts?
I have indeed. I like it. It's a smooth little shave, actually. And the thing, obviously, I love about it is it's cordless as well. So I had a corded one for ages, and it's bloody annoying trying to use a corded one. But that one is pretty nice. And also, as soon as you take the little head off, all your hair just pops out, all nice and neatly. Yeah,
beautiful.
No, I'm a big fan. Big fan.
Absolutely beautiful. Yep. Well, we'll get your hands on it. You can just head over to manscaped.com. You can use our code BlackBox at the checkout. There is 15% off all products at the moment because Father's Day is coming up. You might not feel totally comfortable buying your father a ball shaver, so buy him a beard shaver instead. You know, I didn't want to think about my dad doing anything, along those lines, but he does need a shave. So, Dad, if you're listening,
True.
You might get a little beard trimmer in the
maybe
in the post.
maybe get him a ball trimmer for Mother's Day instead.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, I don't. But every episode, remember last year, was it the year before? And he's just like, what is that? What is a ball trimmer? My mum having to explain it to him every week.
Of course she does.
Yeah. Lovely stuff. Well, thank you as always.
Sorry, that was uncalled for.
Thanks, Luke. Good to have you on doing these.
Well, your dad's already slagged me off. I need to get your mum involved.
He has, yeah. He was really upset. He was really upset with a throwaway comment you made on me in one of those streams. You had to send him an apology, didn't you?
I did, yeah, and I meant every word, to be fair. I'm sorry, family as. I do love him, really. We're just friends.
I think my dad said, he was like, he's lucky to even be on BlackBox. I was like, you're right there, Dad.
Yeah, he's 100% right, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. We got distracted, but thank you, as always, Manscaped. Really appreciate your sponsorship. And yeah, the best products out there for male grooming. So if you're listening and you're interested in, tidying yourself up a little bit, whether it be your face or your balls, manscaped.com, use our code BlackBox at the checkout, 15% off. Right, I guess we should take a quick look at game week 37. Bit of a disaster, wasn't it?
Yeah, it wasn't great, was it?
I don't think it really mattered who you were. I haven't seen too many scores. I've seen some really, really low scores out there. Scores in like the 30s, 40s. I mean, we didn't do great, but we escaped it somewhat. I mean, I got 58. Raya in goal and Gabriel with the two sixes. O'Reilly with the 2. Munoz came in with the assist and the DEFCON, I think, to get 6. Bruno Fernandes captain. I was absolutely delighted with that. Thought, I didn't take the hit for Saka. This is great. And then Saka outscored him with 1 assist, DEFCON and bonus, which I thought was, ridiculous really, but that's just how it is. Cherky benched again with 1. Eze started. I was so happy when I saw him starting against Burnley. He had 2 really good opportunities as well, just as the second half started. Nothing. I backed Brighton against Leeds, played my 2 Brighton players, Hinchelwood and Welbeck, both blanked. I benched Calvert-Lewin and Justin for the honours, who got 13 between them. That was a disaster. I took out Rodgers this week for Ndai. So that went well. That was another 10 points down. So only just a 23 points down on, those sort of 50-50 moves. And then Haaland scored in the last second of the game to hurt all our ranks with a 9 point, because none of us captained him. So yeah, it was a disastrous game week 37 really. Bad moves, bad result for my team, bad transfers. Just all round terrible. So yeah, that was mine with 58. I will also give a shout out to Adobe as well. You might have seen these new graphics that are going around that people are talking about, these new game week reviews. These are great if you're doing anything on social, if you're sending your teams to your friends or anything like that. Obviously, you've got the normal team view. You can also head over to the summary game week review page, create yourself a little graphic, and then you can send that out to lots of different ways. You can customize that and different sort of templates and things. So do head over and check out Adobe as well. Andy, you got slightly more points than me. You got 61, but you benched your top scoring player.
I did indeed, yeah. So I think that was also Friday night. So it kind of was preparing me for what was about to happen in the game week. So I had 12 points Rodgers on the bench. I will say, He has literally done nothing for weeks and weeks and weeks. And I looked at it and thought, because the news was coming out about Leeds that they had so many players injured, and I looked at it and thought Brighton are in such a good spot offensively at the moment. I knew the stats were there for Leeds in terms of their XGC was very low from the last couple of games. And I thought, do you know what? I'm still going to back it. I'm going to play Hinchelwood, who's been great for me recently. And I played him over Rodgers. Hinchelwood got 3. At least he got the clean sheet point before that was wiped out. But Rodgers obviously got 12 on my bench. But I had Raya, Gabriel, and Saliba, who got me 6, 6, 8 respectively, which
Done well
I'm not going to lie, picking the
defense.
3 on wildcard has been pretty good, actually. And it's kind of gone how I thought it would go. And I kind of said this on stream, is that I thought it would be quite nervy wins. They obviously got the 3-0 against Fulham, which I think was more about the way Fulham were playing as well. But then they've had 2 very nervy 1-0 wins. Whether any of these are going to play in 38, I'm sure we'll get to in a minute. O'Reilly got me 2, played, but obviously, they drew 1-1. He didn't get any kind of attacking returns. Cherky, benched. He was always going to come on with the midfield that we saw for City there, so he came on and didn't do anything. Bruno Fernandes got me 18 as my captain. He could have had so many more assists. I mean, I'll talk about Mbumo later in terms of how much he underachieved his XG in that game. But Bruno Fernandes set him up twice and he could have easily got another 2 assists in that game. I don't think he got full bonus either because Anderson got full bonus in that game. Hinchelwood got 3. Bruno G got me 4 because he got DEFCON as well. Again, he has been dodging the points recently. He has a few shots every game. And then Welbeck and Thiago up top with 2 and Haaland with 9. Doing Calvert-Lewin to Welbeck 2 weeks ago could not have gone worse. Yeah. Welbeck's blanked twice, Calvert-Lewin scored twice, but I don't think I would have played Calvert-Lewin, so I'm not going to beat myself up about it. But yeah, Rodgers 12 on the bench, 61 points and about a 5k red arrow, so I am clinging on to top 100k. I do have 2 free transfers going into the last week though, which is what I wanted, so I rolled this week. So yeah, with everything that's happened with the City game and the Arsenal game, and obviously Arsenal being champions, I'm happy to have 2 free transfers. I wish I had 5, but 2's okay.
I think it's been really tough, lately in terms of calls. I mean, you think of all the people that did Semenyo to Cherky, and you've watched him get benched twice. All the people that have gone for Gyökeres and or Trossard this week, and had to watch them blank. All of us loaded up on triple Arsenal, triple City, and not knowing what players are even going to play. In game week 38, your Brighton defence getting wiped out, Welbeck not scoring. If you've come out of the last few weeks with a tidy sum of green arrows, I think you should be very proud of yourself. And someone who should be very proud of himself is Mr. Luke Williams, because he's done just that.
Yeah, made some brave calls, I guess. But
points.
Got lucky on the outcomes, for sure. I was just going to say on Rodgers, even in his good season, like his first season, his best one, he was a troll then as well. He's just got a bit of a rep of a troll, and he seems to score the points when he was on everyone's bench. And again here, I don't blame anyone for getting rid of him for the last 2 weeks.
It was a great goal. Great goal against Liverpool.
Absolutely.
Where's that been the last 8 weeks?
Okay, so yeah, 72. Verbruggen got 2, Gabriel 6, O'Reilly 2, Van Heck 2. So not exactly great at the back. Szoboszlai 9. Finally, after last week, that was the minimum he deserved, really. He should have absolutely hauled the week before, so I'm glad that I got him last week and he finally come through. Bruno again, captain. I won't go on about that, but should have been way, way, way more. At the same time, you can argue one of the assists was jammy, so I don't want to moan too much because I've had a pretty good game week, but honest to God, calling that game, I thought that would just be a basketball game. I was really happy to captain Bruno. I thought everyone else will go Arsenal, for good reason. Then to see the sort of Saka outscore him just by getting 1 assist and pretty much doing nothing for the whole game was pretty depressing, but it is what it is. Bruno G, which is my transfer in, the obvious transfer for me was to go triple up on Arsenal, but like Andy, I just thought it would be cagey, and also he's just a better fantasy asset in the sense that Trossard's still a winger who's going to play probably 70 minutes, so he really has to do something in that time, and of course he could do it versus Arsenal, but it wasn't even 100%. He may not play. Bruno G's just going to play 90. He's going to get DEFCON. He's going to do penalties as well, set pieces. To then be involved in a 3-1 game where he does nothing felt like being undersold as well a little bit. But so it could have been way better. It's I capitalised because everyone else didn't do very good there, but my guy didn't take advantage still. So it's kind of the story of the season. A little bit frustrating, but yeah, I took out Cherky to do that. I think I'm probably one of the only people who took out Cherky. So I got lucky there.
Wish you told me about that.
I just didn't think he would start.
Could have taken him out and left Roddy Rodgers in.
Yeah, fair. To be fair, it's a punt though, right? Because we had the FA Cup before that. I'm not going to pretend that my Man City knowledge gave me some sort of advantage there. There was a lot of luck involved as to whether he was going to start or not. I just felt that he was probably falling out of favour. I didn't expect Pep to go play Kovacic instead of him. So
I didn't like that.
exactly.
Even you couldn't. Normally, I say to you, I can't understand why this guy's playing. You go like, no, there's a great reason. He's got this, and this. He's got this engine and this. You couldn't even defend the Kovacic selection last night.
No.
So I was happy with that.
Well, he was clearly worried about the transition, wasn't he? But he's gone way too far, I think, trying to do that. But yeah, anyway, it was good in the sense that I also had in the back of my mind, like, I think the Man City could drop points and Arsenal could be cagey. If I sell Cherky here because I'm not sure he starts and I don't get a third Arsenal with that person, I'm suddenly in a good position for 38 if the league is off. That puts me in a different position to everyone else. So now I've only got 4 of these guys where a lot of people have got 6. So it was a big call. It's very risky because that easily could go wrong. Cherky could play and smash Bournemouth. Triple Arsenal could have been 4-0, 5-0 and, season done pretty much compared to everyone else, right? Plus then potentially they all play in 38 as well, and they're just better players than some of the ones I've picked. So it was a big call, and it went well for me there. Gross got 3, Saka 10, Haaland 9, Calvert-Lewin 7. Calvert-Lewin came in for Pedro, so I got a bit luck there as well. Probably one of the first bits of bench jam that I can think of.
Did you just call him a rat?
I did.
Do you know what was bad, though? The Brighton double up or triple up instead of the Leeds one. I know I ended up getting Calvert-Lewin, but I did strongly consider doing the Leeds thing, but I don't think you can beat yourself up just because the game was clearly Brighton's to win, wasn't it? They just got footballed. Yeah. It's like a 3-0 game to Brighton, and it's just
was it better for your rank that Calvert-Lewin scored? Because you had him.
I haven't actually checked, so I never checked those things, but presumably
I guess it was close.
I didn't own any Brighton. But obviously, I didn't own any Brighton defence, and watching that clean sheet go was obviously lovely for me. But I did wonder with all those, there was a few people like you that obviously he wasn't in your team to start with, but I do wonder whether that wipeout was better for you.
Oh, no, it wasn't actually, because I actually did check, I just remember now, on the live FPL. Yeah. I put what if they had a clean sheet and Calvert-Lewin didn't, and I'd be 98k, same as you.
Oh, so right. That was quite a lot in it then.
But that was before Calvert-Lewin scored, I think. No, I don't know. I can't remember. No, before Pedro. So I wasn't sure whether Pedro would play or not. Obviously,
I reckon it would have worked out about the same.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. It had to be him, didn't it? It had to be Calvert-Lewin who ended Brighton's Champions League hopes, faint hopes. I'll give them that, but it just had to be him. We know we're going to be talking a bit about our best and worst moments this season, and I don't think it's going to come any surprise that selling Calvert-Lewin will go down as one of my worst moments I think ever. In the game, and then to watch him score with their only shot on target against Brighton was just absolutely typical. So I'm glad you got his points, Luke. I'd like to see you both doing well, and I genuinely do hope you both finish in the top 100k. You're both bloody close, so you deserve it.
Well done. Thank you, mate. Thank you.
Right, let's talk about how crap this season's been. Let's start with... where do we start? We've got loads of graphics. There's been loads of amazing stuff published all over Twitter and Discord and in analytics channels and everything like that. We've got quite a few of these to go for. I thought I'd just start with... we'll do the season recap thing and then we'll look ahead to 38. But this is from FPL Spaceman. This is looking at average FPL points per season for the top players, effectively the top scoring players in the game, top 5, top 10, top 20 and top 50, and it's an unbelievable graph, isn't it, Luke? Because it's pretty consistent, right? It's pretty consistent in terms of the average points per players right across these positions, except for this year when it just absolutely plummets. What does that tell you about this season?
Yeah, it kind of says it all, doesn't it? We are kind of amalgamating a post-mortem and looking at 38 because I don't think we plan on doing a post-mortem. Is that right? So that's kind of why we've...
I think I need just to let this season go and die. not. We might do another one on Saturday, a pre-38 special, but at the moment I'm not planning on doing a season.
I remember when you set BlackBox up, it was about learnings and looking backwards. It's forget that now.
Yeah, I shouldn't I? Maybe there will. To be fair, if there's ever a season which I needed to learn from, it's this one. So maybe I will do a bit of a dissection.
Either way, we're kind of doing a bit here, and this comes from FPL at FPL Spaceman _Spaceman, who is part of the Solio team. And again, I always am sort of tooting his horn, but he's one of the best players in the world, and he's just fantastic with all this kind of stuff. And it's pretty clear what it shows, I think. The brackets of the top 5 players in the league, which will, through the years, they're going to be different people, but they're going to be your likes of your Salahs and your Haalands and your Kanes and whoever else. And then you've got that bracket just below that's included all sorts of different players over the years, like Foden and whoever else. And then even the top 20, even the top 50, just all of them have taken a nosedive in 25-26 in terms of the points that they've scored, which is very surprising considering we've added more ways for players to score points.
Yeah.
So that's a key feature. And I know, look, if you look at the yellow, you can see that the players from the lower band, so people say about DEFCON raising the ceiling or the floor, sorry, for some of the lesser players, hasn't dipped as much as the others. It's still dipped as well, which just shows you how bad. Like, think about fantasy as well. You never really, this is top 50 picks, right? So over the course of those other seasons, how many people would have owned players outside of the top 50 scorers? You don't really own these players, right? They're probably the only relevant-ish players. You know, you'll have other players you jump in and out of, but loosely you probably have in and around those.
Yeah, that's
those
the pool.
Yeah, that you'll be playing with. So, I mean, the top 10 obviously completely nosedived. Everyone can see that. You know, that's obvious. Your Sakas, your Palmers, you know, even Haaland and Salah, they've just been absolutely dreadful. But it's just dived at all ranks. The medium levels, the lower levels, like everything. It's just crazy. It's just been woeful for points. And it's just mad that it's happened in a time when there are more points on offer for individual players anyway.
I mean, this is interesting because if you look at goals and clean sheets this year, I don't know where you got this table from, Luke. Do you have a shout out for this one?
Spaceman again.
It's a Spaceman again. Okay, there you go.
The goat.
So this is about total goals and total clean sheets, and I think a lot of us thinking this has been like one of the worst seasons for like goals or attacking football, at least that sort of we can remember. And you know, teams are so defensive now. There's bound to be loads more clean sheets. It hasn't really kind of worked out like that. If you look at total goals, obviously there's still another game to play, but if you take sort of the average of goals that have scored, we're on track to get about 1,050 goals.
Which shows you at the bottom, extrapolated to 38.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. 1,050. Yeah.
No, sorry. Yeah.
Which is more than which is sort of less than last season. But we've had seasons like it before. 2019 and 20, 1,034. 2020, 21, 1,024. So it's not completely unique to this season. It is less than it has been over the last 2 years. But even going back to 22-23, 1,084, only 30 goals in it. And then you look at the total number of clean sheets, and okay, again, it's more clean sheets than we've had over the last couple of seasons. But then you go back before that, 207 clean sheets, 212, 224, 195 extrapolated this time out. So it's only really the last 2 seasons where we've had more goals and less or fewer clean sheets. And now we've sort of gone back to the norm. But it hasn't really felt like that, has it, Andy? It's felt like we've spoken about it so often this season. It's felt like I think it's personally the season I've enjoyed the Premier League the least.
Yeah, I think a lot of people feel the same. I think the biggest thing, obviously, is that the team that ended up being the champions are playing in a way that some people would say is not the way they want champions to play. And obviously, they're the ones that are on TV the most. They're the ones people see the most. I wouldn't say there's many people that sit down and enjoy watching Arsenal and don't think about turning the TV off after 45 minutes because it's just the way they play. Like, we've been really lucky with champions for quite a while, haven't we, where Man City play such good football in terms of an attacking output and Arsenal just aren't that team. And the thing I think you've got to take from this the most is whether you think this trend is going to carry on into next season. I think that's the biggest thing you've got to look at. Like, when you go back to that graph you had before, is that going to now level out and this is going to be the new norm, or is this going to go back up again, or what do you think it's going to do? Now, one thing I will say is when you're looking at the league, I would say you get more goals and more clean sheets and more points if you've got worse teams in the league. If you've got teams that can be rolled over and you've got other teams that are more than happy to score 3-4 goals. We've had Liverpool and City doing that for years and years, haven't we? I would say those mid-table teams are incredibly good at the moment. That I think that's a really big... You look at, Bournemouth, Brighton, Brentford, all those teams that a couple of years ago might have gone to City and lost 3-4-0. Now they're going there and everybody's saying they're such tough games. And I think there's just not enough teams that are ready to be rolled over. When you think Burnley and Wolves have been terrible this year, like they have been the worst 2 teams by a distance. But even though we've got them in there and we always have bad teams that come up, we still haven't seen those kind of big results at times. I do think that the league's just getting tougher because those middling teams are very good. They're very well run. They're very consistent. Their signings are always spot on. And I think we're kind of seeing that with a lot of the teams that are at the top that are in transition again. Like, United are going to have a new manager. Chelsea are going to have a new manager. Liverpool might have a new manager. And I just think it kind of all encapsulated into this year. Is that going to continue? We were talking about it with Mark, weren't we, a couple of weeks ago, saying, I think in some ways it will, but in other ways, in Europe, these English teams that have tried to do this, they've been destroyed by teams like PSG, Barcelona. Like they haven't been able to compete because they're used to such a defensive way of playing. It's almost like we're turning into Italy, isn't it? Like this is, Italian teams were known for being so defensive for quite a while. But yeah, I think there will be some continuation of this with the way that teams are going. But obviously those teams that are also done very well are now going to be in Europe as well. And we've got a lot of European places. So I would expect a slight uptick next year. I don't think it's going to go back to the 24-25 season in terms of goals. I think Arsenal aren't going to change the way they play. So I do think we're going to see a slight uptick, but I don't think we're going to get back to where we were last year anyway.
I think it's interesting what you say about, the fact the disparities decrease between the top teams and the middling teams. Because if you think about that for FPL, it means that, okay, the pool of players is still, like Luke said, probably about 50, something like that. But they are sort of maybe more spread out across, different teams. Like, okay, Gibbs White was a bit of a joke of my season at the start of the season. But I mean, look at him now. Like we thought he could be the sort of the talisman of Forest, and him and Anderson have absolutely over-delivered on that. You look at Bournemouth and you can pick Krupi, you can pick Tavernier, you can get Senesi in. Like all of these teams do have like 2 or 3 players that you can go for, which makes the game a lot trickier to work out where it is. And when we look at something like the analytics league, I mean, they are just like year on year after year, we see this trend that the analytics 64 managers are just thrashing all of the other leagues. I mean, the Elite 64, the one General set up, I was like, when I got invited to be in that league when it first started, I was absolutely so honoured to be in that. And now look at it. It's like compared to these other leagues, like the Elite 1000, the Analytics 64, and even the qualifiers for the Analytics 64, just consistently scoring way higher than people like me in that league. Well, I'm not even in that league anymore. I'm in the qualifier league for that. But there's still quite a few people in those 2 leagues who play in the traditional sense of, just trying to pick players who you think might be quite good. And as you've learned, Luke, like the reasons for using analytics to and models to base your decisions on is just becoming more and more important. I mean, we talk about it all the time. It's nothing new, but it feels like it's moving more and more that way. Yeah,
and I think what you could probably quite fairly say is that you've got more old school managers, as in older people who've been playing it for longer in, say, the bottom, the red, Elite 64, and then you've got more new blood, like kids who are coming through now in the blue. Times move forward. It's as simple as that. I think even in a season like this, where look at the beginning, look at the start. Elite 64 was the worst league out of all of them for 14 game weeks. A lot of people use that excuse, don't they? I've not had a good start to the season. I'm not doing well. I've not created my value. I was terrible in the first, my scores were awful for the first 14 weeks. And the Elite 64 was the top. So you'd think, well, flow state, they know what they're doing. It's not an analytics. I saw that a lot at the beginning. It's not an analytics season this season for the first time ever. That was a lot of sort of doing the rounds on Twitter and stuff. And it's just completely turned around because it's a long game at the end of the day. And there's no guarantee that this will happen every year, but it does just seem to happen all the time because if you just play in the right way consistently, you just got more chance to do well. And, the evidence is there and it's been there for a number of seasons that if you're not using it in some regard, then you're probably doing yourself a disservice. And that's all I've said for many, many years. If you don't want to do it, that's fine. That's a different question. But if you want to play to the best level you can, then you should probably look to incorporate it in your game in some way.
What happened, by the way, in game week 18-19? Because that was the big jump for analytics, wasn't it? And then obviously they carried on the same kind of trend as everybody else, but then went up again in 32-33, which I'm assuming they went bench boost strategy.
Do you know what? I was going to say I don't know, but then suddenly this might be linked to what my worst moment was, which I'm going to talk to you in a little bit about. But if I'm right, game week 18 is the Thiago Ekitike switch that I think virtually everyone outside of analytics pretty much did because Isak got injured and Ekitike looked great. And I even did it as well, and it completely destroyed me because Thiago scored 5 goals in 2 weeks, and Ekitike played 1 and then got injured.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think 18 was the free hit week as well.
Was it? 19 was my worst week. That was when Gabriel came back and scored, didn't he? Straight away when he came back. And I know that was a really bad week for a lot of people because that was Christmas time, wasn't it?
18 is the Ekatike Thiago switch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what a lot, I think, of people did, and I even did it myself. So that's probably a big part of it. I know a lot of analytics were against that move.
And Boxing Day, so just after Christmas, nice little Christmas present. I think that was when a lot of us went for Cunha as well, because I think was that when United had all the AFCON players
Yeah.
that went away.
Mbuma went, yeah. Ahmad went.
Like stuff like that didn't work very well. Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking at the results. It was a weird time. Like I'm just looking at the players who like scored across these weeks. It's like Everton started keeping a couple of clean sheets. I wonder if Everton featured quite highly on the analytics. Like Tarkowski,
Michael Keane, he got 15 points.
Keane doing well. Yeah, players like that. So obviously identified the right players and got them in. Because I mean, from 18, it just went absolutely crazy for analytics. So yeah, fair play. Final one here is on point. So this is from Focal. He posted this earlier. This is the former number ones and the total points they've had. So Lovro last season got 2,810 points. That was one of the highest that we've ever seen. 21-22 was Jamie Piggott, 2,844. That was the highest. But I mean, if you look at this season's total points, obviously the game hasn't finished yet, but say he gets around 50 points, something like that. He'll finish on 2,556 points, which would put them 11th on this list, which
That's with double chips as well.
well, this is it. This is exactly what this is the first season we've had double chips, and it's the first season we've had
and 5 extra
DEFCON.
transfers.
Yeah, and the AFCON transfers. So, like, it's been. I mean, I've had a terrible season. I found it really, really hard to just claw my way out of where I am because I just haven't been able to hit. Like every season I've ever played this game since 2007 or wherever it was, I've always had a couple of weeks where 1 or 2 players have just come in and I've just seen my rank. If I'm like 1.5 million, seen it go up to like 600k and sort of push up from there. I haven't had that once this season. Just haven't had one like big week, which has really salvaged things.
Do you think, and obviously we looked at the graph just a second ago, and that poor start happened a lot. Do you think this is also people took a long time to get used to DEFCON? And people had 3-4-3 in their teams to start with, and this is just obviously it's not going to be all of that because that's a sizable difference, like almost 300 points. But do you think it just took a while as well? People started with 3-4-3s. They started with players. I mean, a lot of people start with Forest defenders, but now if you were saying start how are you going to make your team? Most people would go with 4 at the back, most probably, wouldn't they? And they go with DEFCON boys. And I just don't know whether that's it's taken. Some people still haven't adjusted to DEFCON.
I haven't.
They're still not picking players based like Anderson's the best player this season.
Well, I've got a pretty fun example, right? So forget everything else because there's way more intrinsics that I'm not going to go into. But if I was to offer you a striker that scored a goal every other week, right? So 38 weeks, 19 goals. Do you take that? Do you take that?
Well, based on what I've seen with
No.
strikers,
Simple answer,
no.
yes or no. If I offered this at the beginning of any season, at any point, you're going to get a 19-goal striker,
In your head, you'd
6.5
say
million.
yes, wouldn't you?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I know the answer, but you'd say yes, wouldn't you?
you'd 100% say yes. Now,
Yeah.
at the beginning of the season, we knew this information, by the way. Anderson pretty much gets 2 points every week. Now, 2 points every week is the same as 4 and then a 0. So what you're saying is Anderson gets 19 goals, the equivalent of, I know there's bonus and there's other things involved. He costs $1 million less than probably any striker that you'd ever get. And on top of all that, the diamond in the rough is you pretty much know he's going to do that because the player's platform, who he is who he is. He doesn't change it. He's done DEFCONs the whole time. It's a repeatable behaviour. The striker I offered you, out of all the 15 or 20, only one of them's done it, and that's Thiago. So the chances are you picked the wrong one. Yeah. And there's no one who knew right at the beginning of the season. They might have thought Thiago's a good pick. We talked about him on this stream saying, yeah, he could be. A lot of people writ him off. He's done nothing. He's done an ACL. He could be rubbish. Brentford lost all their good players.
You'd say that. I'd have been bloody stupid to say that at the start of the season.
But you get what I'm trying to say. We knew this information. The maths was there. And Anderson was in most of the analytical models at the beginning. And even Solia had like 4-5-1, 5-4-1. People just dismiss it. They dismiss it because they haven't seen it with their own eyes.
Can I ask you a question, Luke?
Yes, sir.
Because you're obviously in this circle. I remember we spoke about this at the start of the season. You said very, very similar things. You talked about not going for any strikers, going for 4-5-1, all that. You have not owned Elliot Henderson all season.
I have not, no.
Why not?
Well, I've owned him a lot of the season. But I sold him, I think, at a period where the fixtures went badly. And I tried some other things, as, like we pointed out, probably wrongly. and it just so fell with the chips and everything that I never got him back, which is clearly just a mistake. I know he's gone on to probably get more attacking returns than we thought as well in the end. I mean, he's got like 3 12-pointers in 3 weeks or something, hasn't he? But it's just never felt like the time to do it. And I think we've all fall victim to the, and it might be applicable this week, oh, I want to get this player who's going to give me a haul. I don't want a player who's just going to tick along. But if you're getting a guaranteed 5 to 12 points every single week, that's bloody good.
Yeah.
In fact, if you gave me a guaranteed +5 for game week 38, I'd probably bite your hand off, because every other person I bring in does worse.
It's funny. It's funny. I mean, my best decision this season was getting in Elliot Anderson in game week 20 or whatever it was, and that coincided with me going up from 3.2 million to something to like 900k. I then got rid of him on the wild card a few weeks ago, watched him score in the first game that I'd taken him out, and then he obviously got 2 assists this week as well. So he's part of my like best and worst moments for different reasons. You know, I could be doing all right if I'd started with him and kept him. I remember right when I went for Gibbs White, I remember you saying to me, why wouldn't you just get Elliot Anderson? It's because you're always trying to target that explosive. You know, I'm looking at it thinking, well, Anderson might get me 4 points every week, but Gibbs White could get a brace one week. But then it's like, well, yeah, but he might then blank for like 4 or 5 weeks in a row. I mean, that's where my mindset hasn't changed. I don't know if you're the same, Andy. That's where my mindset hasn't changed. It's like watching a player just get 4 points every week just doesn't feel as good as getting like the 15 pointer. And that's maybe where our mindset needs to change.
I've been thinking about it a lot in terms of what I'm going to do next year, because I think I would be looking at players like Anderson if I was setting up game week 1 and I didn't want a wild card early, for instance, or if I was thinking that I'm going to be wildcarding at some point and I only want that player for 1 or 2 weeks. I think if you only want them for 1 or 2 weeks, you go for the explosive one. But if you're building a team and you want to keep hold of that team for a long time, you pick Anderson, because it's exactly like Luke just said. You know that he's going to be getting those consistent, repeatable returns for quite a while. I don't think you can beat that. I don't think no matter who else you go for, you can beat it. And if you are going for it, you either pick the other player because you know you're not going to keep him for very long, or you get both. You have a balance in your team. And I think that's the thing. I think you need to have that balance of DEFCON boys that are getting you those standard points every week. I mean, I did it for quite a while where I said, right, I'm just going to pick DEFCON boys at the back. I'm going to have Anderson, and I had him for quite a while. It's surprising how those points add up every single week and stop you getting big reds every week. Like they just either, you just get a little bit of a
half a
green,
forward
or you'd
goal.
be surprised.
It's literally half a forward goal.
Really, yeah. But people, like I said, people have not adapted to it at all. And people keep saying the same things where they're saying, I think you put it in the group chat earlier, Luke, saying someone said, oh, I'm 50 points behind my mini league leader, so I'm going to go for a differential captain. And then next week you're 5 points down, so you do it again. And then you're 5 points down, you do it again. And it's, I think over a long period of time, DEFCON wins every time. It really does. I don't think there's any real competing against it.
We definitely have to be careful, because as we've already talked up to this point, this was a bit of an outlier of a season. And ultimately, if there was a lot of players who scored and assisted, then you could have done way better by avoiding DEFCON. But it has just made those players better, full stop. So if we go into the next season, expect more goals and assists. You just have, I mean, ultimately, the price is what's important here, isn't it? It's all about how they're going to price these players and what value they're going to offer.
Well, there's only been 2, hasn't it? It's only been Anderson and Garner this season in midfield who have, you know, really broken it every single week. Like, I mean, I know you've had, you know, Bruno Guimaraes and players like that who, you know, they're getting like the bonus ones every now and then. But I think Anderson and Garner have broken the game because, you know, unlike defenders, you haven't got they don't lose the points as well. Like you could get 2 DEFCON points, but then concede 3 goals, 4 goals. How many goals you just concede? 4 goals, right? To concede 2 less.
Yeah,
yeah. But I mean, you know, teams, you know, particularly teams who are getting, you know, a lot of like Bournemouth at the start of the season. I think a lot of us thought, well, losing all their players, they could well be conceding 4 goals in lots of matches this season, and then that would have knocked all the Chelsea's points.
As well.
That's it. Once you pair it for the defenders, it needs to be paired with the clean sheets. But for midfielders, it doesn't at all, because all they lose is that 1 point.
I do think people who only played FPL probably suffered a little bit from DEFCON this season, because they, you know, I've talked about Sky before, but there's a number of other games that offer points in different ways, and they just sort of failed to realise that, you know, they held on to what they thought the game should be, or, you know, what they want it to be, or whatever. And again, I say we have to be careful, because if people scored and assisted a lot, it would have been fine. But Elliot Anderson would have still been in the convo, and it's only one or two mids that have probably broke it. But you can also argue it's for the captain a lot of the time, right? You captain Haaland every week, going for broke, going for it. You're not going for it if you don't go there. And I mean, I'm a perfect example. I think I captained him like 18, 19 times, and he's literally scored me like 3 times. He got me points as captain. If I'd have just captained Elliot Anderson every week, I'd have smashed Haaland out of the park, even when he does hit that random 18-point haul or whatever. Like, I just think, and you know, and Bruno basically proved to be that, right? Even in the beginning parts of the season when people were slagging him off for playing in defensive midfield. Not you, Andy. Not you, Andy. Some people in this stream were slagging him off weekly. He was still a good captain pick then, and you know, obviously things have slightly changed with him now. He doesn't really do the DEFCON, but you get what I'm trying to say. I think people just undervalue just attrition of small amounts of points all the time. It doesn't matter if they come in a big whammy or they come in over a period or whatever. It's just about getting the most points over a period, right? And it's it's kind of blowing people's brains, I guess. But maybe all the rules change for next season. So we can't just go, oh, yeah, we're going to do all this. And again, we can't say for sure that the seasons will be exactly like this one was. Because you go back to that table, there's been, you know, the 2 years before that were absolutely goal crazy. It's just hard to see it right now when there isn't. Yeah. I think as well the superstars, right? That goal table doesn't tell you the picture. I think if you went back and looked at some of those seasons, a large percent of those goals will have gone to big household names that you'll know of. This season,
well, look at this is the biggest haul. Nice segue. This is the biggest hauls that we've had this season. We've been talking about this sort of off air and what players we've owned. I mean, just to read these out for any audio listeners, the biggest hauls this season. Timber, I don't think anyone's going to beat that. He's had the biggest haul this season with 24.
Game week 1.
Yeah,
game week 1.
Game week 1.
No,
I think. Or was it 2? 1 or 2?
It was against Leeds, wasn't it? It was 2 or 3. I think
it was 2 then. Yeah, Leeds was 2. Yeah, 1 was against Man U, wasn't it? Yeah, it was Leeds. Yeah. Timber with 24. Van der Ven with his brace. 23.
First on my bench.
On your bench. Wow,
First
nice.
on my bench.
Mavropanos got 21. Lewis Potter got 21. Gibbs White with his hat-trick on Mark's bench got 20. Palmer with 20. Sharder with 20.
That was his Brench Bruce, by the way.
His Brench Bruce, yeah, thank you.
Yes,
thank you, Andy. Yeah, nice. Eze with 20. That was against Spurs, wasn't it? One of his many goals he scored against them.
Andy Martin had him. We didn't hear the end of it.
No. Hudson Odoi with 19. I don't remember that. Who was that against?
I don't remember that either.
Absolutely no memory of that. João Pedro with 19. Reece James with 18. Gusto with 18.
Was the Pedro one? He won 2 assists.
That was the Villa one.
Palmer penalties.
That was bloody
ridiculous. It was a bullshit haul. Yeah.
Stood still and the player kept running into him and just pushing him over. And then he did it again the next week on another penalty in exactly the same way.
To be fair, if Pedro ever get points, it usually involves some sort of fall.
Yeah, I mean to do that with no penalties as well. The season's had. As his mum uses the brand. That's clever. Her name's Bren, in case you were missing it.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't put that one up, so clearly someone like that joke out of YouTube. Gustav 18, Bruno with 18, Weefer with 18, Damsgaard with 18, Sangaro with 18, one of Yells' favourite players, and Semenyo with 18 versus Fulham, of which I was surprised to learn that I was the only one of the 3 of us who actually had him back in game week 7. So, yeah, even with that wasn't enough to help me above you lot. Loads of defenders did manage to... Was it 17 you said, Luke? Which was a goal, DEFCON.
I can't remember the number, but 16, 17 points. There's
17.
loads of centre-backs who have basically scored a goal, clean sheet, DEFCON, max bonus, and have done pretty well. But interesting on that list, I think all 3 of us had Bruno, not as captain, so he actually probably hurt us to get those 18 points versus Wolves. You've already mentioned you had Semenyo. Me and Andy had no others amongst that. But also of interest, João Pedro, the only centre forward. Again, everyone talks about going for the shooting for the stars, and I've got to get the haul, and I don't want to, bring X player in. Well, there's not many forwards that are sort of ticking that box. It's very hard for a forward to get multiple returns, like 4 or 5 returns. I mean, certainly this season it has been.
I think this is a grim list to look back on because none of these players are players that you'd even have and own for like a prolonged period of time. Either. I mean, Gibbs White. I mean, look at Gibbs White. That came very, very late. I mean, you could say he's been a good pick, but I mean, I was like a joke for picking him in like game week 5 as part of that hit that I took. Like Sangari, Damsgaard, like Gusto, James, Odoi. Sharda's not really been a factor for us because Otara's been there and Thiago.
Palmer's 20 points was like the night before it was
Yeah.
announced his groin was on fire.
That was the Wolves one, wasn't it?
Yeah. I literally was due to bring him in that week. That's why I hate him so much. And I got Enzo instead and had like 8 million left in the bank. And then he scores 20 points.
I know none of these are, apart from Andy Martin, obviously you're a genius, but none of these are like clever picks, are they? Like, okay, like maybe Semenyo was because he had penalties at the start of the season.
I saw a few go Weefer. That was the double game week, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, I know one person did in particular.
Yeah.
It's a great result, to be fair.
One goal this season, I think. Like, it's just...
That's what Stuffer dreams of, though. You sign Weefer and he gets a brace. That's crazy.
Yeah.
No, I know. Yeah.
I do think it would have been like this in seasons past. It's important to remember. If you look through like stars of the week, you're always going to see complete randomers appear. Like it happens all the time. I just think that this would also have been littered in years past with Salah basically about 80 times. And I should know because I never owned the guy and he would absolutely just dump 20 points on my face. But yeah, I think that's what we're missing from here. And it's like, who are the superstars there you could pick out would get those huge hauls? Bruno maybe at 18, Palmer at 20, and it kind of stops there.
I suppose the other thing is as well, like you'd be shocked not to see Haaland on here, but of course it's 17 for a hat trick, isn't it? So they can't even get there, really, can they?
They've got to give him an extra point for a goal next season.
They've got to give him something.
Got to give him
because
something.
also penalties are now been buffed as well, haven't they? So like you don't get as many bonus for penalties.
No.
Come on, Andy,
Nerfed,
use
not
the right term. Come on, you're on with Luke and I, the biggest nerds in the
Sorry.
world. Can't get away with that.
Sorry, I'll see myself out. But you know what I mean.
Well, that's a big part of the Thiago thing going back. You're not saying a goal every other week. Well, if half of them are penalties, which I think they are, they're pretty useless. You don't get bonus with them.
It's the same with Calvert-Lewin as well. I mean, if you look at when we come onto the forwards, I was looking at the forwards tables this season. I was looking at points per 90, and Thiago and Calvert-Lewin aren't on the list. Calvert-Lewin got 14 goals. Obviously, was a bit in and out of the team towards the start. Has played loads, and Thiago has been. I would have thought a striker getting 22 goals, whatever he's got, would definitely be up there, but he's not because he's not getting bonus. Like he gets a penalty and he doesn't get any bonus.
This is essentially
the
the Chris Wood rule, isn't it? They tried to fix Chris Wood from last season. He would do nothing but score one penalty and come out of it with 9 points over and over and over.
Doesn't seem rewarding enough, does it? To have like if you made the call that Thiago was going to be that good and he scores 22 goals in a season. To not get those points to reflect that, it doesn't.
I'm in two minds about it because,
because there's so many penalties as well, and some of them are so jammy that it also leaves a sour taste.
Yeah,
I don't agree. I don't. It's
he
like
should have been
dead
rewarded
spot, though,
more.
isn't it?
I just think they need
big
more
time.
points per goal. Like I said, I think they need like 5 or 6 points for goal to help them out. There's only about in any given season. First of all, every team basically plays one forward. They usually play like 70 minutes because they've usually got a backup, and it's a hard position in football. A lot of the time they don't take penalties. So your pool is already narrowed to a point that is just disastrous to begin with. And it's like they don't really do much apart from offer a distraction in football, really, or just have that one final touch to put it in the net. So you kind of have to reward that because I don't see... I mean, we talked about the other ways. You could do shots on target or something as their, like, as their DEFCON, essentially, or something like that. But outside of that, I only think sort of rewarding them more points for a goal makes sense because you just get less... than the other positions. It's just weird.
I've said this before that defenders and midfielders get rewarded for like their positions. Like defenders get the clean sheets, midfielders get an extra point for a goal, they get the clean sheet point, they now get DEFCON as well. Like they're rewarded for being in that position. Strikers for doing the one. I know they got lots of other roles, but you think of a striker, you think score goals. They're penalised for it because they get the fewest points for actually getting those goals. They have boosted the bonus. So like if a striker scores an open play goal, I think they get like 25 BPS or something like that. Like it is massive. Then if that's the winning goal, you're looking at 13, probably getting at least 2 bonus. So like I do get it from that point of view, but I think strikers should get the most points of all positions for a goal. Like they should get 6, and the other positions should get 4.
And can I add something to this as well? If you look at the Golden Boot race, right, and I've picked the top 14 just because there's loads of players in 15th, but out of the top 14 positions, 12 of them are forwards. So 12 of the top 14 of the highest scorers are forwards, and yet they just are non-events. Literally the only 2 players that aren't forwards or are on this list are Gibbs White, and there's one other which I can't remember off the top of my head. Where's he gone? Semenyo.
Yeah.
The rest are all forwards. So forwards have done their job, they just ain't got any points for it.
The one,
They're weird. They're weird
Yeah.
though as well. The forwards, aren't they? Because they've blanked for long periods. Like Watkins is up there, isn't he? Because I know he's one of. It's
Yeah.
him and
It's the fifth highest
Welbeck
scorer.
and Calvert-Lewin, all up there because they were talking about English strikers before the World Cup.
All on
But
14
they've
goals,
all
yeah.
they've all gone missing, haven't they? At certain points, like Thiago's the only one that's kind of consistently done it through most of the season. Calvert-Lewin, when Az had him, was ridiculed. Watkins was just non-existent and wasn't even starting games for quite a while, wasn't he? Like, it's mad how they've got their goals. I wouldn't say it's like dripped through the season.
And again,
No.
we say scoring goals is the hardest. It's the common thing in it. Scoring goals is the hardest thing to do in football. And it's like other players get rewarded. You haven't got to score goals. You can get rewarded from tackles, interception, all this other stuff. And it's like, well, if you're not scoring goals, you're not going to get any points either. There's no other ways for you to get points. And when you do the hardest thing in the game, you get lower points than everyone else. It's just
And
it's
I mean,
crazy.
Bowen-
if they
Bowen
scored
was
open
changed to
play
a
goals,
striker.
like more of them than they could get points, is important to remember. But I think the most important thing of all this, it doesn't really matter as long as you get the pricing right. But we're talking about players there that are 8 and 9 million. Why am I paying 8 and 9 million for a
Yeah.
Watkins? It's just crazy
100%.
work.
The one saving grace is that if you go with one forward, you have to fill your bench with crappy like 4-5
Especially to start
strikers
the
a lot
season.
of the time. Yeah, I mean, but then that gets ruined when you've got like a Calvert-Lewin for 5-5 and a Krupi for 4-5. Then there's no excuse, is there, not to just go. But if you're having to go with like horrible 4-5 options and have no bench, then I guess that is one of the trade-offs you have to make. But that's why like you're right, the pricing is so key because it almost feels like you can't price a striker too low because they just become template and then everyone will have them. But you can't have strikers at like 8-9 million because you're just not going to pay that money for them because it's not worth it.
Well, we briefly talked about Ekitike, which was a bad move for everyone, and that's part of my. We'll get onto it. Worst moves of the season, but why am I buying a player not on penalties that's 8 or 9 million, swapping out Thiago for him, even if the fixtures are different? It's just dumb.
Yep. Yeah. Well, we should talk about 38. We also got to cover that in great detail. Before we do, Andy, it's come to you. Best and worst moment of this season.
Oh, right. Best moment, weirdly, is all my cheap defenders that I seem to be buying that do well. So James Hill, I got before a lot of people, and he got me assists, got me goals, got me clean sheets, got me DEFCON, got me bonus. So he was brilliant. And when I bought him in, I think he was 0.2% owned. So I was very, very happy with that one. Beaten, I would say, by Mukiele. Mukiele has been unbelievable for me this year. And I brought him in, I think it was around game week 5 or 6, and he got a goal and clean sheet. I think it was against Leeds or Burnley. And from then, I think he's got me 3 or 4 14 or 15 point hauls. What can you do? Like, I think I got him in really cheap as well. And so he's been great. And obviously, if you can pick a defender that nobody else owns and they score a goal and get a clean sheet, it rockets your overall rank. So I'm going to go with those two. The other one I'm going to go with is Krupi, because I've mentioned Krupi God knows how many times this year. And I owned him and called it when he was starting fairly well throughout the season. And now obviously he's a mainstay. He's on penalties. And I think he could stay at Bournemouth next year. He's got no release clause, which means people would have to pay an awful lot of money to get him. So if he's still there, he is firmly in my team to start game week 1. The only problem is they might be playing, obviously, European football in between, but, well, they will be. So, yeah, I would say those three. So Hill, Mukiele and Krupi. Just enjoyed owning them.
Luke?
Worst moment is definitely the one I keep talking about, which was, I have like a slight get out in the sense I was absolutely tanked when I did it. So if there's any lesson to be learned, is do not drunken FPL. It's not something I ever actually do, but I was in Perth with my brother from Australia. Finally, like, kids are not with us, went out for a night out, somehow managed to get the FPL app out and make the move. I think, though, that's not enough of an excuse, because I was clearly sober enough to be able to get out a phone and make the move. And it was all the euphoria at that point, right? Thiago was going into some bad games. Like, Ekitike looked incredible. Isak just got injured. Liverpool had great games. And the worst part for me, I think it was the first hit I took of the season, and it just caused me to then take... I think I took 2 or 3 hits the whole season, and they were all as a result of this move, because I just completely destroyed my team. So I brought in Lewis Miley to afford it.
I remember that. Yeah.
Which was just catastrophic. And then forget the outcome, because I don't want to be outcome based. Like, the outcome was horrendous. Thiago scored 5 goals, Ekitike did nothing and then got injured. But when I just look at the move, regardless of that outcome, I didn't need to do the move. Why would I bring Lewis Miley in to afford a striker we've already talked about, a striker not on pens, just because he looked good for Liverpool? Liverpool have been in shambles all season as well. Like, I don't know what I was thinking. Clearly I wasn't thinking, but I'm in the boat of a lot of other people who did this. So that, I suppose, makes me feel a little bit better. But for me, for a learning, that was a point where I was like, no, analytics are wrong. Ekitike is a good move. I just got absolutely power slammed into the ground instantly as soon as I did that. Took about 3 hits to get out of it, and it basically derailed my season. I don't know if you've got the FPL optimized graphs, but you'll see at that point, like, my season was doing all right, and it just completely tanked. And I've only really managed to recover in the last few weeks as a result, I think, all mainly from that move.
No, I didn't get those. I'll post them. We'll post them on
okay,
a bit later.
I mean, I'm sure I've had other bad ones. I mean, just owning Haaland and Salah always get that wrong. I am so glad that this is Salah's last season. You don't need to watch out, because next season, if there is only Haaland and everyone's got him, yeah, I'm coming first, mate.
Makes a change.
Yeah. I'm going to be terrible and have no excuse. That's more likely what's going to happen.
And what's your best?
This is a really boring answer, but I think it is simply just around wildcard 32, not so much the wildcard 32, but showing the restraint in the weeks leading up to wildcard 32 to build up that pool of 4 or 5 transfers with a bad team most weeks. Like, it was fine, but to show that restraint when everyone else or a lot of people were making moves to get sort of 1 week moves or 2 weeks moves, because I'm going to wildcard and I'm going to do this, and not building up that bank, not fully appreciating the chaos that was due to come and how much it could help you afterwards. So although it didn't go like fantastically well, normally I wouldn't be able to do that, like sit there and save. But by doing that, I completely set up my season to turn it around, because I was able to pick like a really good wildcard 32 bench boost team and then use the free transfers to get out of the worst picks as a result.
Your best moment of the season was doing nothing.
Absolutely, yeah.
I mean, that sums it
Lots
up.
to be learned from that.
Doesn't that sum it up?
I mean, to be honest, it's been like that for many, many years, isn't it? If you watch any of the really good fantasy managers that Jonty's interviewed over the time, they always say when they don't know what to do, they do nothing. They're not as reactive.
Yeah.
And that generally is a good vibe. People, I think, and me included, look too much at this week and next week rather than further into the future. And it can backfire. Your player can get injured. There's loads of stuff can happen. But if you consistently play that way, where you're playing with a more sort of long-winded mind, then it generally benefits you, I think.
What, mine?
Here we go. Right, I've just started the clock. The clock watch. Yeah.
I mean, I'll do a full thing on this, but I mean, the list of players that I've got no points from this season is ridiculous. Saka, Mateta, Gyökeres, Gordon.
Oh, he's written them down.
Foden. I haven't. This is all from memory. Minte, Timber, until like fairly recently. Like big players who've scored loads of points. Just never when I've owned them this season. Like, the list is absolutely crazy. Worst moment, I think, was getting rid of this sounds really stupid. Getting rid of Alderete, right? And the choice was Alderete to Mukiele and bench boost, and it would have been a 25-point bench boost, or Mukiele to Goodmanson, who went off injured 23 minutes, and then Rodon scored and got DEFCON, and they got a clean sheet. That one really hurt, because I could have just gone, like, even if I'd ignored the Mukiele one, like, if I'd just gone for Rodon, it would have worked out all right. To go for a player, and then Goodmanson bit me on the arse again, because I played him about 15 weeks later, and he got sent off.
I thought he came off the bench for you.
He came off the bench. He came off the bench for me after getting sent off. I mean, you got no chance really of having a good season when stuff like that happens, have you? I mean, there's honestly, there's so many things that I could mention. Every week has found a new way to cause me pain. Even this week, getting rid of Rodgers, that's hurt. It's been absolutely awful.
There are moments that have hurt, but I don't think all of them were bad play. There's a difference in there from outcomes and how to change it for next season.
Okay, the bad play one was getting rid of Verbruggen, making a goalkeeper move when I should have saved the transfers. I do accept that was a bad transfer, but I don't think I'd be interested to see. I don't think I have played on the whole like particularly badly this season, and it sounds ridiculous to say 880k, but I think other than the Gibbs White and the Elanga move and the Verbruggen to Kelleher move, I think most of my transfers have been pretty sound, like off the back of it. But they just have not. They've been punished in horrible ways.
Yeah, I mean, you've had some shocking outcomes. I got Rodon that week. You got Goodmanson just to make you feel better.
That was just. I mean, that is. But I should have known, like Defcon and centre backs and stuff. It was you know, that you could argue that was a stupid move. So when I go through the ball a bit later on, I am going to do a black box episode looking at my moves. It'll be like an old school one, like I used to do before I teamed up with Mark and you guys. So yeah, we can go through that. Best moment, I don't have one.
You could have mentioned any of the streams you've done with us.
No, they've been hard.
That steak we had last season.
That steak was lovely. No, do you know what? Doing these has kept me going. It has been a bit of a struggle at times to really find the motivation to do it, but I am grateful to you both for doing this. It has definitely helped. Chow getting 17 points. There you go. That was quite nice. I think you'd sold him by then, hadn't you, Luke? We both had him for ages.
I had Chow for 5-6 weeks, and he got no points in the easiest games ever. And then you got rid of him. He got 17. Then he got rid of him. He got 17. Then to make it worse, I went back there. I think just before wildcard, like the final move or whatever, and he's played every game, and then he just didn't play. If you remember, so I ended up with 10 players. So yeah, he's on my shit list for sure.
Was that when he then came on and scored, but then he
scored as well, and he got ruled out. Yeah. I'm sure everyone who everyone's got these stories across the season, haven't they, where players have completely done them over.
Yeah, actually, Dr. David captaining Gibbs White I forgot I captained him as well. Yeah, I put Elanga and Gibbs White and captained him, and then Bruno got that 93rd minute penalty against Burnley. That was really bad. I was at a friend's house. I was absolutely miserable. Yeah. Anyway, right. Let's talk about game week 38.
Yeah, I was going to say, people tuned in to see about game week 38. It's like a crucial one where so much is up in the air. Everyone wants to know who to pick for their teams, and we've just jabbered on.
All we've done is complain. Big week for you two. Not so much for me. Big week for you two trying to get into the top 100k. Big week for a couple of teams. Not too many now. League's done. Arsenal City first and second. United have secured third. The battle for fifth is on, which is a big one in the sense that if Villa come fifth and they're winning tonight in the Europa League final,
2-0.
2-0. Okay, so basically Bournemouth or Brighton will very much want Villa to see that out, because then the sixth place will get Champions League football next season if Villa do come fifth as well. So it'll be all eyes on Villa v City and Liverpool versus Brentford. 2. So 6, 7, 8 could potentially be Europe. Otherwise, it'll just be 6th and 7th if Villa do come fourth. You would think, though, if Liverpool beat Brentford and Villa lose to City, that it will be Liverpool in fourth, because their goal difference is slightly better. So yeah, keep your eye on that. Elsewhere, it's Spurs and United, West Ham United down the bottom for relegation. Spurs just need a point. I've got a feeling that something's going to happen here.
Yeah,
I don't know what it is. I think you'll see my predictions later. My prediction for this is West Ham win and Spurs leave it incredibly late and just nick a draw and stay up. That's my prediction.
Could happen. With teams down the bottom, they're always unpredictable, aren't they? So
I know, it's crazy. But yeah, Sunderland, Newcastle, Everton, Fulham are all still in the fight for 8th. So again, if Villa do come 5th, then that does open up quite a lot for these other teams. So there's still a battle on. So there's still quite a few teams at least playing for something this week.
Yeah, the Chelsea-Spurs game was interesting because obviously if Spurs won, it meant that West Ham and Spurs were kind of untouchable in 38. If Chelsea won, which is what did happen, it meant that kind of, Newcastle, Everton, Fulham are all now probably too far away from Chelsea, you'd say, especially with goal difference and that. So it meant that we kind of lost Newcastle, Everton, Fulham as they've got some motivation in 38, but it means we do get West Ham and Spurs, so yay.
Yeah, Chelsea would have to lose like very heavily, right? And others would have to win quite heavily.
I think it's 10 goal difference, something like that. Yeah, okay. 7 to 10.
Pretty much unlikely. So yeah, Sunderland though, they've had a bit of resurgence lately. They could still push for it. I still there's enough for Newcastle and Fulham to think, let's still try and finish as high up as the table as we can, because it's so clustered around that. But yeah, you're right. Europe is probably a bit off.
I guess there's a bigger conversation around what does having motivation actually mean, though.
But look at Brighton versus Leeds. You couldn't have a team with more motivation. You couldn't have a team with less motivation, and the team with less motivation wins it.
Well, you can have no motivation, like I suppose the Man United and the Forest game, which was just complete basketball and points on offer for everyone. I don't know how you guys see it. I mean, any game can go any way. This is football, but I think motivation, the main thing it probably brings is just minutes.
Yeah.
You can kind of trust that the best players will probably be on the pitch, and that's like the main thing that the motivation really brings.
Yep.
Well, I mean, obviously the big thing is World Cup now as well. Like, you know, if they're complete, like for instance United, they're completely beached in third. They can't finish second, can't finish fourth. They've got loads of players in their squad that are going to be playing in the World Cup. Like, is it too hard to believe that some of them are going to go off 65, 70 potentially, rather than playing the full game?
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah.
Lots of send-offs, lots of different things to talk about. And it's almost something to bring the fixtures up and talk about them individually, because there's so many stories.
Well, Luke, funny you should mention that, because here we have
I'm full of segues today.
You are. Here we have a lovely graphic from Rob T. Big shout out to Rob T. All this season, obviously I've been in touch with him quite a lot, and the projected goals and clean sheet odds we show pretty much every week. He's doing some absolutely great stuff. Also, this is a really, really good way to test the lineups as well, because when you're looking at these and you're looking at the betting odds too, if you suddenly notice a big drop in a certain team's odds, it probably means there's like one or two quite big changes coming. It was a bit late after the deadline, but we saw it with Arsenal, right? There was reports that their odds of scoring had dropped. Everyone thought, oh, here we go, one of the big names is out, and it was Gyökeres who was out of the team. So something to watch out for, I think, going into 38. If you do suddenly see, you know, odds going up or odds going down, it probably means that some of the star boys are playing. And obviously, there's all eyes on Arsenal and City, and we'll talk about those clean sheets in a bit. In terms of goals this week, though, City are top of the goals predicted from the betting markets, 2.48. They've got 30% chance of a clean sheet. I mean, God knows what that team sheet's going to look like, but they're there. Liverpool, they're in second, 1.97. They've got something to play for. They're a bit all over the place at the moment, but the odds for them scoring is pretty high. And then you've got Brighton, who've got arguably the most to play for. I think Brighton and Bournemouth, and obviously Spurs and West Ham. But Brighton with, you know, nearly 2 goals expected against Man U, 1.42. I can't remember too many times that I've seen something like that where Brighton have been like big favourites, I think, actually against Man U at home this week, which, yeah, I'm confident about a win in that one. I'm confident with Danny Welbeck goal as well. You've got to think there's going to be some goals in that one.
You'd have thought so. The way Man United are playing at the moment as well, it looks like goals every game.
That's it. We won't go for every game because we're obviously going to talk about those when we come to the predictions. But yeah, Andy, like out of these fixtures, where do you see the most goals?
I've got to mention them because it just seems poetic that we're going into game week 38 and now we're talking about it. The biggest game you've got to probably talk about is Burnley Wolves because who knows where that's going. And obviously I'm seeing people invest in Burnley players.
Zach Fleming.
Who's to say who? Oh, Zach Fleming. Who's to say that, you know, this isn't the audition obviously for the Championship next year, and in the Championship, who's to say this doesn't finish 3-1 Burnley or whatever it is? Obviously, there's players from Burnley. You'd back Burnley more. So if there's some players there, like, you know, it's Jan Fleming coming into your team for a last day. Like, these are players that you can just go for on the last day, aren't they? The other one, obviously, I guess, is West Ham, because West Ham are projected actually pretty good for the goals in this game against Leeds. They've got to score goals in this game. Whether they can or not is something very different. But I think those two fixtures in particular do stand out for me. Weirdly, but I think they do.
I've gone for a 0-0 in Burnley Wolves. So
have you?
I'm not predicting goals in that. Oh, Jake's here. He doesn't agree. He's absolutely fuming. Luke, any games here?
Well, I think it's just trying to find the teams where both of them don't care. That's been proved over the years to show
Burnley Wolves. Perfect.
Usually more goals than what people expect. So yeah, there's a number of those teams, I guess.
It's Palace, Arsenal, and Burnley Wolves, right? They're the two main ones.
Do you think so? Everyone else you think has got something to play for, and so I know this is again something to play for. They've all got individual things to play for, money bonuses. You know, up one position in the league, some people can do, right, which gets you more money. Sending the fans off like with a good result, good feeling, like.
Well, Palace and Arsenal, Burnley and Wolves have nothing to play for because I think their positions. I think maybe Palace could go up like one position if they.
I mean,
but
Man
that's
City,
it.
Villa, Man City. Obviously, it's Pep could be, if reports are to be believed, Pep's last game, and Villa are 3-0 up in the Europa League, so they're going to be on the piss till then. So, That's going to be a
Fourth
random
and fifth,
game as
though.
well.
I don't know. Fourth and fifth feels like.
It does, but are they going to have any play? Like Villa did it. When was it they did it before? When they got thrashed by Palace last game of the season, because Villa, what did they?
Yeah,
win?
McGinn was absolutely off his nut, wasn't he? I remember the photos. Yeah, in the restaurants and stuff like that. I think it was Palace. Yeah, did Palace not smash them like 4 or 5 goals or something?
Yeah, they did. Yeah. It was Eze or Elise got
That was it.
Tete
Final
got
day.
another-
Yeah, a lot of people went Elise. I went Eze.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah.
Like 18 points. I think the Man City Villa game, I mean, it's clear for everyone to see on the numbers right there. And for the reasons Andy's, I'd imagine that'll, now that result's coming in for Villa as well, it's going to start going up and up and up. It's going to go crazy. The thing is, it's like who's even going to start the Man City game? I think a lot of people will have to be relying on leaks to make that punt. And then even if you say, okay, I'm going to get this player as a punt, a lot of the time they're players like, I talked about Trossard, they'll be like, I don't know, I'll go for a Savio or something. He's like, well, he's probably going to get 70 minutes. He's not on penalties, doesn't take set pieces. And even if the game's like 3 or 4-0, is he that good of a punt? Probably not.
Yeah.
So it's a very tricky one. You know, if you told me like Marmouche, who's a midfielder in the game and he's going to start the game, potentially be on penalties, then suddenly he becomes like one of the best differentials you could ever pick. But even him, he could. I mean, Haaland's not going to not feature. I think Haaland will feature, right? Whether it's start or not is another question, but I'm pretty sure he will.
Well, should we have a look at our predicted lineups for these? I asked you both to try and predict City and Arsenal lineups going into 38. This is what you came up with, Andy. So yeah, talk us through your City lineup.
Mate, this was probably one of the hardest things you've asked us to do this season, because not only do we have none of the information yet, I think you sent it just after I saw a video of all the Arsenal lads partying at 5 a.m. outside the Emirates, and I was just like, how are we going to do this? So yeah, I've gone. To be honest, I wasn't sure, and Luke could probably tell me. I'm not sure how, if it is Pep's last game, how sentimental he is as a manager. Like, there are some that are like, no, I'm not doing this. I'm picking my best team to win it, or whatever it is. And some are like, John Terry-esque, where he goes off in the 26th minute. So
I think he's a proper lover.
You reckon?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He's always talking about their feelings, and if they want to leave Man City, he's happy to let them go and all this stuff. Yeah.
Sounds like Az.
Well, I couldn't believe you've been put Silver in this one.
No, I didn't put. Yeah.
Well, Bernardo Silva's final game is definitely going to feature again, whether he starts or not. Like, what would you do? Would you bring him off and crowd sort of applaud him, or do you bring him on?
Yeah.
They never bring him on, do they? They always bring him off.
Yeah, but it don't matter, does it? I mean, you could bring him on.
Nothing matters.
No, exactly. Exactly. I mean, Ran, who's on his team here, sorry to skip out, but he wasn't even in the squad last week.
Yeah.
I don't know, like, what's happened to him? Like, people would say, all right, everyone's got Nico O'Reilly, haven't they? That's why I'm talking about him. He's played a lot of minutes. There's no reason particularly for him to play this game. You think, well, Aït-Nouri could play. Wasn't even in the squad. So what happened there? Is he injured and we didn't get told about it? We haven't got the information. Gvardiol has been out for a massive injury the whole time, came back, played one game at left back, and then was back on the bench again. So it could easily just be him at left back. Anyway, carry on, Andy.
That's all right. I mean, I found this really hard because obviously with the lack of information and where we think, the biggest thing you've got to say about City is they're the team we're likely to hear something about before the deadline. So you've obviously got to be, it's rubbish, but it is what it's got to be. Is obviously all the games kick off at 4:00, so you've got to be on your phone from 2 onwards. But yeah, I've gone Trafford in goal instead of Donnarumma. I've got Stones and Diaz centre back with Nunes and Ran playing wing backs. I've got Kovacic in there, even though he was awful the other day. I got him in there. It could be Silver, obviously. And then I got Foden. I got Cherky there because he's been bench loads recently, and whether he gets the last game. And then Marmouche, Savio, and Haaland, because I think whether he wants to play Haaland just to get a few more goals to his tally this year, whether Luke said, like I said, he could only feature and come on. I think it's trying to pick this team now, I think is just a minefield, to be perfectly honest. I've got O'Reilly, Cherky and Haaland, and I think this is quite optimistic from me that 2 of them would start, if I'm honest.
Well, Haaland's also 5 goals clear in the Golden Boots. He can't even really...
I thought that as well. Yeah.
He's going to a World Cup with Norway. He's played a hell of a lot of minutes.
Finally, yeah.
Yeah. This was yours, Luke. Slightly different graphic, but yeah, I mean, again, it's a lot of the same players, but you've been less kind to the Cherky and Haaland owners.
Well, I've kind of just tried to show like what could be the worst, which is essentially completely replacing the 11 and using the guys he's not used for the season. So I've got it in my mind that he's going to give minutes to a lot of these players. Whether it will be from the start or not, I don't know. So could quite easily be some of these guys sub on. But Stones is his last game. You know, we've already talked Bernardo Silva, who's not even in this graphic. It's his last game. I expect them to feature. Ake, I'd be surprised if it's not his last game. Diaz has been on the bench the whole time and is the captain, and he's going to come back from injury. Is he not going to feature at all? Trafford is like, they're trying to get him to stay, really, if they can, can't they? And they've kind of done him a disservice, and it's like, why wouldn't you play him? You know, Gvardiol's even talking of leaving. Lots of links to go with him. I don't know whether...
It's a bloody big squad they've got, so they've got to clear some out.
I mean, Foden feels like he deserves... I mean, he came back recently and played pretty well in the few little minutes he got, and I thought maybe would replace Cherki. Turns out, no. Cherki just got binned and he'd play Kovacic and randomers there instead. But does Foden... I mean, Foden probably feels like the one out of everyone that I would be willing to... Like, if we didn't have leaks, this is all just forget leaks for now. If you were like, do you know what, screw it, I think Man City are going to score the most goals, I'm going to go for a player that no one else has got, I think Foden would probably be the one, like... Because I just feel like he's the most likely to play some sort of role.
If he starts, I'll bring him in, I think. Like, if we do get any confirmation.
Again, he doesn't take penalties or set pieces or anything, does he? Or get DEFCON. So it's still a risk. But, I mean, in a game where it's expected probably over 3 goals by the time the odds update, probably feels like it's an okay one. But, yeah, I mean, there's so many players he wants to probably give minutes to that he hasn't. Can Foden come off after 70 even if he starts? Quite easily here as well. So it's really, really tricky. It's random number generator. Rico Lewis might not be there next season. Rico Lewis is a defender. He might play. He hasn't played as a right back pretty much all season. Whenever he has featured, it's been in like an 8 position. So is that something that interests you? Rico Lewis in a number 8 as a defender? Could be.
Do you reckon Maresca will be quite happy that there's quite a few going to turn it into his squad fairly quickly?
Oh, he's not even joined yet, Andy. That's not official, I'm afraid.
That's true.
It's going to be staying.
Imagine if Pep was like, do you know what, I'm staying now. I'm so annoyed that it's been leaked.
He's going to do the Leo DiCaprio bit, isn't he?
Absolutely.
I ain't leaving.
Yeah.
I ain't leaving.
I've got one more Kovacic at number 10 in me. Yeah.
Did you read out the team, Luke, for the podcast?
I did not. So Trafford in goal, Gvardiol at left back, but probably Aït-Nouri if he's fit. Ake, Diaz, Stones. I think Stones has got a feature in some way. Gonzalez, again, a player that should have been used a lot more than he has. Maybe this gives him minutes. Reinders, like one of the star signings. Yeah. Everyone's just forgot about him. Like, he takes up the positions that Foden and Cherki play. Like, surely he gets some minutes in this game, whether it's from the beginning or not. Lewis are thrown in there as a complete wild card, to be honest. He's not even barely been a thing. They're in midfield. And then Savio and Foden on the wings could be either side there. They both play left and right, potentially. And then Marmouche up front. Again, I don't necessarily think it will be all these guys, but I think a lot of them will feature in some way.
Well, this is my one. I can't see any world in which Bernardo Silva doesn't start. I can't believe you picked him. I've gone Kepa, Vardiol, Ake, Stones. I'm with Aït-Nouri at right. Did he play him at right back for a bit earlier in the season?
That was one game.
Yeah, he's gonna do that again. I put Kepa in that. That's not supposed to be Kepa. I just thought to change the player. That is supposed to be Trafford. Kepa's in my Ulster one. I just thought to change the goalkeeper. It is Trafford. Gonzalez. I stuck Semenyo in. I reckon we'll stick one of like the main guys in there, and he seems to love Semenyo. Reinders, Silva, Savinho, and then I put Haaland, but I don't know. I've got Haaland and Semenyo in just because I thought he might want to have a bit of a laugh and try and score some goals before the season ends, but he could well like not do that.
If I was to do mine again, I'd put Silva in for Lewis and maybe just bring Lewis on. I think Silva probably goes off to an applause rather than the other way around, thinking about it.
I think he hates Lewis.
Oh, yeah, well, yeah, I mean, he's kind of done that to himself. The whole transition era where Rico Lewis is getting smashed 80 yards across the pitch anytime he went near him did not do wonders for his confidence.
No, exactly. I don't think he plays. Right, let's talk about Arsenal then, Andy. I mean, if this happens, this would be quite funny if this was the Arsenal team sheet.
So I mean, if you have Arsenal attackers, I think you need to be worried personally, based on what we've seen from their celebrations and the fact they're needed for the Champions League final. Now, I know it's 6 days after the last game, but some of those attacking players, they literally cannot do without in the Champions League final. Like Saka in particular, I just can't see him being used. I just can't. Like, you've got to wrap him in cotton wool because he's literally their ace, isn't he? So I'd be absolutely shocked if he's starting, let alone plays any minute. So I've gone with Kepa in goal. I've gone Hincapié. I've gone Gabriel because I don't think they have another player that can fill that position, really. They could play Calafiori left centre-back, but I don't really see it. So I put Gabriel in there still. I'll then put Salmon next to him, who has played 1 or 2 games this year, but I just don't see him playing Gabriel and Saliba because if the worst case scenario happens and they both get injured, they're screwed, aren't they? So I don't see it being both of them personally.
I also think it'd be quite unfair to not play Salmon with one of the really young centre backs with one of the really experienced ones. So I think one of them.
No, I do agree. He's got a great leap on him, by the way. Then we've got Mosquera. Mosquera right back.
Did you put him in for that joke?
No, I didn't. Then I got Mosquera right back. I've got Norgard and Zubamendi in the middle with Dauman playing ahead of them. Dauman, I mean, I think he just did his triple science GCSE, so he might be available to play this weekend. And then we've got, literally that is true as well, I think. Wow. And then we've got Martinelli, Madueke and Jesus up top because I think this could be any team, literally could be any team. They're going to have celebrated all that time. The only thing I will say about this is surely they can't go into the Champions League final with 12 days worth of rest. Like, surely that's not the best way to prepare for a Champions League final. But being injured is way worse than having a bit more rest. So I think he's going to protect the majority. They're going to get very limited minutes, whichever ones do play. So if they manage to get a player that plays and he plays up to 60, I think you've done incredibly well, basically.
Saka's got to be the biggest risk, isn't he? Because he's the one where,
in my opinion,
if he plays him for 5 minutes and he gets injured, like that would be
which he's capable of doing. He'll look
exactly.
Injured.
I know.
Yeah.
I think that would be the biggest. Saka is the one that I'd be most worried about. You don't know. Just have a look at yours.
I know none of us know. This is part of what this is about. But everything about Saka recently has been building fitness.
You put him in?
In my defence, I had not seen that video when you asked me.
That video is great.
Well, you've gone full strength, pretty much full strength Arsenal against Palace.
Yeah, I've gone from one extreme to the other. And City total changed 11, and then Arsenal pretty much full strength. Yeah, I mean, I don't have any read on Arsenal, to be honest. It's just complete.
The only player you've left out is the one player that I've got, and that's Eze. Thanks for that.
To piss you off.
It works.
Okay, I'll walk you through my theory here for now, and this could easily change. It's just like Andy sort of touched on. It's preparation more for the Champions League final, and Odegaard, for example, is a player where I think he kind of needs minutes, and he'd like to play him. So, same with Saka. I think. My worry about Saka is there's a lot of players who can play that position. Madueke, Dauman, Gabriel Jesus can all play that position. So I don't think he's going to get a lot of minutes. But I think maybe building fitness is more important than... I know if he got injured, fair enough, but injuries are quite rare events. Building fitness, it's not going to be cannot play because we'll get injured. I think the physio's put down this is the amount of minutes you want to play to sort of keep him ticking over. That becomes more of a priority. And I went for Calafiori. I mean, he's made of glass, isn't he? Just because I think that back four, if it's like all centre-backs, is just dreadful. So I think he wants to make one of them attacking, and he's got no choice but to play Mosquera. So I think maybe he plays Calafiori when he comes off early. But yeah, this is all just complete punt territory. Trossard looked like he got injured towards the end of the last game. I don't know whether he was.
He's no way he's playing. No way. If you've got Trossard, even if he's fine, right? If he's going off injured in the last game, he's just not going to risk him.
I think Rice has had a back complaint for a long time, so he could easily miss out. Just to see, for him, it's not about keeping his minutes up. It's probably more around protection there, I would say. Like, he's probably got a bigger chance of missing out.
See, I'm slightly more confident on Eze than you two, because I don't think he's going to want to play Martinelli or Trossard on the left, because I think he's going to want to use both of them definitely in the final. Martinelli needs minutes because he's barely played any minutes at all. So he might come on like a bit later on, but I think Odegaard's just had that injury, isn't he? And he's been playing quite a bit. I think we might see him in one of those two positions.
Do you think Arteta will let a whole different 11 have a guard of honour after winning the Premier League?
Well, this is it. I think some of the main players will be on the pitch at some point.
Three Dog put in there Salmon getting a guard of honor on his debut. Like, will he be thinking that? Because he is that kind of a manager, isn't he? Where he's all about the psychological and wants them to get their roses.
Yeah, but he'll have some like bullshit thing like, yeah, but Salmon is our he comes and he gives the water in the canteen every day. Without him, we would never have been able to win the league. It's something
Spanish
like that.
accent.
You add upstream right there for you. It's Salmon that go upstream, isn't it?
Yeah,
It is.
Yeah, I tried to tone down the Spanish accent like halfway through that thing. Maybe it was like in you've watched Desperate Housewives?
Well, for one reason only, yeah.
Yes, yeah. Well, the pilot of
the gardener, obviously.
The pilot of that they gave Carlos, the guy with Eva Longoria, just like this ridiculous Spanish accent. They kept doing all Spanish music, and then they were like, we should probably tone that down a bit. It's borderline a bit weird.
It's
anyway,
like a poo in Simpsons or whatever. It's going too far.
Yeah. Like a literal poo. That's not Arsenal. That is. I've not done very well with these graphics today. There you go. This is mine. I've gone Lewis Skelly, Gabriel Sleeve. I've gone for both of them. I've gone for Nichols on the right.
Is that?
He's their little new right back. Well, not new right back. He's their like youth right back, because I think like they don't have any right backs. So surely the one position they want to protect is right back. So yeah, I stuck him in. Zubmen, I think Norgard could be a good punt this week. I think we're all pretty certain he's going to start. And then I've got Madueke, Dalman, Eze, and Jesus. I'm quietly confident on Eze because he's been coming off early. I don't think he plays the final, and I think he'll probably start on the left. So I'm keeping him. I'm keeping him this week.
Get him a Norgard in your midfield,
and he'll start and he'll do nothing again, and I'll be like, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Anyway, that was a long section to basically,
which is totally worthless because he's going to wait for leaks and we don't know. Yeah.
I'm going to do a prize though for the winner of who gets it most right.
Can I change Bernardo Silva for Rico Lewis, please?
No.
If you're playing it properly.
You've had you've had 24 hours to do that.
I couldn't be bothered.
Can we also say as well, do not make early transfers this week?
No.
Can we say please don't do it?
Don't
go chasing price rises.
I'm going to extend it as well. If you want to put in your Arsenal and City predicted lineups into the YouTube comments, whoever gets it most right, Andy will go through them all painstakingly after the stream and on at the weekend, and whoever gets it most right will win something.
Can I just say, if I'm not allowed to put Bernardo Silva in,
it's going to be easy.
Then you are keeping Kepa for Man City.
What?
I said, if I'm not allowed to change Bernardo Silva, then you're also having Kepa for Man City.
Touche. Touche. We haven't talked about any stats yet, so we should probably talk about something. We're an hour and 30 minutes into an episode of BlackBox, and we haven't talked about any stats yet. Mark will be turning in his grave, not in his grave. Before we talk about stats, shout out to Fantasy Football Scouts. Game week 38, you can have a free trial. If you've listened to this podcast, if you know who Fantasy Scout are, never been involved, it's a completely free trial right up until the start of Game week 38. So you can look at all the tables and stats and all the great things there. There's a code you can zap on the screen. If you do sign up to a membership, you get 5% off. But yeah, if you've heard about them, but you haven't used them yet, give them a try. Use the link in the description below. Dr. said when he marked, he didn't die. It was, he died from the world of BlackBox. That's arguably a fate worse than death. Team defense. I think we'll cover these probably a bit more on Saturday, the season averages. But obviously Arsenal, City look like they're going to end at the top there. Arsenal with the best defence in the league, obviously. West Ham, Wolves and Burnley down the bottom. Over the last 6, Spurs still clinging on to being the best team statistically over the last 6. You wouldn't have known it with their performance last night against Chelsea. They're just so they didn't look like a team that were fighting relegation, did they, for the first 60 minutes of that match. Arsenal in second, Brighton with a good defence. We're up in third. West Ham as well, interestingly, in fourth. They conceded 8 goals as well. Down the bottom, that'd be good news for Spurs fans. Everton on 19th. Forest in 18th. That'll be good news for Bournemouth as well, chasing that Champions League. And then Burnley in 20th if you wanted to punt on Mane or one of the many Gomez's they have in the side. Interestingly, City are 15th in terms of defence. Teams have been, finding ways to create chances. They've only conceded 5 goals, but maybe less goals than they should have had. But yeah, any teams here, Andy, that you would target? I guess we've kind of already spoken about these, but West Ham is an interesting one, I thought.
Yeah, West Ham. I think the really interesting one there is Everton being 19th. I think with the fact they've got Spurs. I think with the fact that Spurs are top, Everton are 19th. I think someone like Porro stands out there quite a lot. I think with the fact that maybe Spurs can go into that last game hoping for a clean sheet and trying to get some goals against Everton, which, you know, they not have to win that game, but they can't lose that game. I think Porro stands out as a good pick there. Forest being 18th is quite interesting with the fact that I've been looking at Kruppi a lot as well. I know Luke mentioned him in our chat earlier, and obviously I might have mentioned Kruppi a couple of times this season. So I think he's interesting there as well. But I would definitely say the Spurs and Everton stand out massively for me there.
Yeah, the trouble with Spurs against Everton is that Spurs are 16th on the list of team attack over the last 6. So good defence, but struggling to score goals. I mean, Richarlison is a punt. You know, when you're looking at players with something he's a punt. He is many things, but punt is the word that I used. But yeah, if you look at players with something to play for, scored a goal, got a bit of form on penalties, nailed on, like he could be a man. But the underlying stats aren't amazing.
Brighton looks perfectly set up for Porro, doesn't it? Because if they can't score a goal and he creates all their chances,
it's going to be a set piece. It's going to be a set piece or something they score with. I think Porro is a really good shout this week. I also think Brighton as well. I mean, Brighton in second. We should have scored against Leeds with 2 particularly really, really good chances. We'll get chances against Man United. Andy said it earlier. There is definitely goals in this one. Yeah. So. If you've got Brighton players, the trouble is I'm thinking of like captaincy on one of them potentially, but who'd you go for? Like Welbeck's going to get 67 minutes again. Hinchwood, it looks good, but he's always a better risk of a sub. If you've got Pascal Gross, like genuinely, I don't hate that as a punt. I don't hate it. You're looking for a player who has got roots to points and will definitely play, and there aren't that many of them this week.
I don't know about that. Anything can happen, so I won't rule it out. But for me, the rule's got to be if you're going to captain, they've got to also be a good like fantasy pick as well. I don't think you just go. Like, Gross has got roots to points, but he's basically below actually the root. Like on all of them, it's like kind of gets defcons, but not enough. Kind of does assists, but nowhere near enough. Kind of got goals, may have some set piece or penalty involvement, but not 100%. Like he's not like a great.
Well, I'm thinking of Hinchwood.
He's done well recently.
I'm thinking of Hinchwood this week, and
that's wild
for captain.
Yeah, who will? I mean, we'll talk about it in a bit. I mean, there's only other than Fernandes, like who is there this week?
I mean, if you are literally saying screw it, Hail Mary, like that's your role. Like you said that you didn't care if you finished outside the top million. Do you think?
No, I do care if I finish outside. That would be really bad.
Do you think if you captain Hinchwood and he blanked, it's possible? Because if it's not possible, then go ahead.
I don't know. I mean, anything's possible, isn't it?
Like, Bruno's going for the assist record as well. Like, there's every chance he gets at least 1 assist against Brighton. So you're saying Hinchwood's got to score?
I think I'm getting no points like this week. I'm probably going to be playing triple Palace defence.
Can I just throw out
realistically?
Is Casemiro going to play for Man United?
I don't think so.
He's
so
already
if the
had
game's as
send-off,
open as the other Man United game was, but then there's no Casemiro and you've got Agate or something like that, then maybe Hinchwood just hits 4 goals.
Imagine. I captained Danny Welbeck last day of the season. I might do the same again.
He won't be in the squad
play, did he? Yeah.
He didn't play. No. Again, we'll cover this in a bit more detail on the next stream. But in terms of team attack, City, Arsenal are first and second. Chelsea have clinged on to third despite being absolutely awful on these metrics for about 12 weeks, which I think says a lot about the things. We're going into more detail. I mean, I've said this quite a few times, but the historical top 6 average for team attack is 1.87 goals per 90. Man City are top with 1.76. So they're not even in the top 6 of previous seasons in terms of XG.
Can I just say, obviously, I know we've mentioned Casemiro and Bruno there. If we're looking at a player that is due a goal, and Mbumo is putting up unbelievable
up front
numbers
as well, playing up front.
But he's putting up unbelievable numbers. But his finishing's been awful recently. But he definitely be on the goals imminent table that Scout do.
Well, Andy, a lovely segue.
Oh, look at that!
Because if we come over to midfielders of the last 6, and Mbumo's top. He has an extra non-penalty per 90 of 0.98 and 1 goal. Yeah.
I'm not surprised. Honestly, the one that you put over the bar.
Yeah.
He's also, I think, well, in the metrics that I put on Scout, so non-penalty XGI for the season, he's like, I took out all the players that have basically featured like 5 minutes. He's like the third highest,
Yeah.
which
Yep.
surprised me. I didn't expect to see that. It's like Haaland, Ekatike, and Bomo. I was like, what the hell?
Yeah, that is nuts. Gibbs White's third, 0.67. Obviously has pens as well. Henchwood, who we just mentioned, is in fourth, 0.64. Bruno Fernandes in fifth. You've got players like Dango against Liverpool, 0.51. He's eighth. Bruno G, Randy's got. He's 10th, 0.5. And then, lots of other players. Dewsbury Hall, 22nd. Gakpo, 27th. Gross is 34th, so he's got half the extra on penny that Hinchwood's got. Rogers is 35th. Sobosla, who's done so well for Luke over the last few weeks.
Well, 1 week.
Oh, did you not have him for his other big haul?
No, I sold him when he got all points,
Oh,
and I owned him
dear.
last week when he got nothing, and he should have got a haul. So yeah, literally 9 points.
Oh, dear.
He's got for me.
Well, he's 40th on the list of this. Tell, who I've been really impressed with last few weeks for Spurs, he's 43rd.
Should have scored this week.
Yeah, he's got it in him. He has got a haul in him, I think. Ndai, who I've got for some reason, he's 44th on this list. But obviously has pens. And then Elliot Anderson is 53rd, but he is in the top 10 for points per 90. I think he's like third or something ridiculous like that. I do want to just quickly touch on the mids per season. I want to go into more detail on this. But I think this is really interesting. In the top 20 midfielders for XGI non-penalty per 90, there's only 5 with the top FPL points per 90. Other players are like Semenyo, Harry Wilson, Bruno G. These players are all like 30th and below on the list. Casemiro's like in 49th. So I think normally we have more of a correlation between XG and points than we've maybe seen this season as well, which I think is another reason why I found it so hard, because it's been a season where that hasn't really dictated the points quite as much as maybe we've seen in previous years. So if you've been watching Blackbox, you've been tuning in for the XG metrics that always show. It hasn't done you much good basically this season. Hopefully it will change next year. Defensive transfers, do you think too many people are going to be making defensive moves this week, Andy? Sure, we've got so many problems in our front line.
Yeah, true. But I mean, everything we've just been saying is that people are going to be punting on strikers and, flair midfielders. And actually, is it the defenders? I mean, we've just said there the tables look good for someone like Porro. Truffet's been brilliant for weeks. Were you clicking me or?
No, I'm clicking the dog. You're growling.
So yeah, I do think actually people will ignore making a defensive transfer when actually it's probably going to end up being the best thing you could probably do. So yeah, I think Porro stands out. I think Truffet looks good against Forest. I think you could go. No, I'm not going to say it. I was going to say you could go with a Burnley defender, but maybe not. I don't.
You're
think I can go quite
all
that
on this
far.
Burnley. All on this
Mate,
Burnley.
I am.
Normally, when he gets a
I
feeling
think-
like this for these lesser teams, they do really well. I'm quite worried now.
Estev Brace
Yeah,
is coming.
Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
I know you went off injured last week, didn't you?
Oh, did he? Oh, no. Who would you get?
Bless him.
There isn't any Burnley players on this list, is there? No, that's FPL points per 90, of course.
I think another point worth mentioning is if 38 is chaos, right? Man City, Arsenal mainly, but potentially there's other players, right? We've already talked about. There's loads of teams where you might think your player's nailed. I mean, Pedro might not turn up. He might be injured. There's loads of other options that just might not play. Making defender transfers does help in the sense that that's the position where you want at least 3 of them. I think a lot of people have got O'Reilly for 1. So if he doesn't play, you're down to 4. So yeah, you could easily find yourself with 10 players despite having more because you couldn't bring a defender in, if that makes sense. So I think defender transfers, and they've just hauled all season. In that list that we showed of the points, loads of them had the 17 pointers. I mean, Van Dijk, I don't expect him to keep a clean sheet, but he's still just a really, and I talked about it before about making sure they're a good fantasy pick as well. He literally ticks that box. He's going to play 90 minutes. He's a good fantasy pick. He's a defender, and he absolutely can score from corners, as we've seen. So, he is just a really default good pick this week, despite even if you don't think he'll keep a clean sheet.
A special shout out to Anthony Robinson as well. Obviously took a penalty at the weekend. Back in the Fulham defence. So, and yet they've got Newcastle at home. So if you don't think Newcastle are going to be up to much.
Good shout. Porro as well. So Porro's in the top 5 for XGI per 90. I mean, 0.27 is good underlying stats for Porro.
He's been great since De Zerbi.
He has.
He's involved in everything, isn't he? I think the Bournemouth boys are just great again as well. Senesi and Hill. If the Forest game is similarly basketball like the Man United one, then they thrive on that kind of football. Final game for the manager as well.
Having no Bournemouth like defenders has been an absolute killer the last like 5 or 6 weeks.
You're probably just going to get 4 points if they fail, aren't you? Again, we
Yep.
talked about it. It's probably just a sensible move.
Yep.
Yeah, Senesi's last game for him.
Yep. Season defenders. Just wanted to call out to Kuiper. He's third. I mean, obviously he's played reduced minutes, but you know, a lot of us like the idea of another Brighton left back. When he has played, he's tended to deliver quite well. Be interesting to see what happens next year. You know, we're getting rid of a few right backs, I think, and whether Weaver stays there, I imagine he probably keeps his place there, and Cadiguli stays on the left. But there's also a chance Cadiguli moves over to the right and Kuiper comes in. Maybe one to watch. Keane's been unbelievable for Luke in the times that you've had him. He's 26th on the list. Lacroix's been all right for me. Going for him over Gahey was an error, but when I have needed him, he's come in. I just wanted to give a shout to Munoz as well, because he's 9th and now for FPL points per 90, and he's like the one player on this list that, you know, if we maybe thought the Defcon boys would catch him up, but I think Munoz and O'Reilly, who's in 5th, you know, they have delivered, you know, really, really well. You know, you've got like Diaz, Gahey, you know, loads of other centre backs on here. Biel's obviously been great, but yeah, those ones have done really well. Forwards, I mean, we've been slagging off forwards for the entire stream. There's one forward on here that I might try and sell you both.
I know it's going to be.
Is it number 3?
It's number 3. Has to be, isn't it? Right? Got to be thinking about him. Sure.
I mean, Fulham have been absolutely dreadful.
Yeah, it's Osler, by the way.
And Anderson's not playing.
It's annoying that this week everything we're saying is don't go forwards. Yeah, it's all the forwards that I think are quite exciting. Because it's like, I've said Zian Fleming, I said could be quite interested with the fact they're playing Wolves and Wolves are just dreadful. Osula is obviously on here and he's got 5 in his last 6, I think it is. And genuinely, I do think Tati's a good shout as well for West Ham. I think in terms of the XGI he's been putting up over the last couple of weeks, scored goal of the season last week as well.
Bowen's the most
think they're
bought
interesting.
player. He's one of the highest on the models this week. I think Bowen's 80,000 people already.
Do you know what the issue is, though? Is
If not
that
more.
when I look at my strikers, I've got Welbeck and Thiago, and they're going to be playing. So I can't ditch them when I've got all the other players in my team that might not even play. So what do I lose Haaland for one of them if he doesn't, you know, if we find out he's not playing?
I think if there is a league that Haaland's not playing, so many people will go to Bowen, I think, probably is the number one.
Do you reckon?
But then there'll be Richarlison, there'll be Osula, there'll be Krupi, maybe, as like little bits and pieces. But are they the option when you could probably just bench Haaland and bring a defender who's probably going to end up being better? That might be the play. That might be the differential, is don't get that random striker that gets you 70 minutes, is in on pens and only gets 4 points a goal.
When you put it like that.
I'm just saying. Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see which way people go there.
Yeah, I think ideally I'd like to bench Haaland and you know.
Well,
use
let me put it this way: if there's a league that he does not start, do you start him in your team? Because there's still the temptation. We saw the goal. Look at the odds on Rob Tees. They expect to score 3 or 4, and I think he would come off the bench. But some people would go, do you know what? It's Haaland. If he gets 30 minutes,
I'd never start.
You would just bench him.
Yeah, 100%. I'd never start a player
Okay.
who I knew was benched.
I'd sell him. I'd get Tati in.
Get Tati in.
Not everyone's in a position though, innit? If there's multiple other people you've got in your team benched, I think you're going to see a lot of people might actually start him over their dreadful sort of backup player.
If I had like 4 players benched, I'd say he's probably the most likely to come off the bench and score. So I probably would start him in that situation. But if that was the only league that Haaland was benched, I would definitely bench him or sell him.
Also, if you sell him for a cheaper option, 10 million in the bank, you start next season with 110 million. It's a good game plan.
I guess you could take a hit as well. I mean, there's not a lot of players you could take a hit for. I mean, we haven't talked about Salah. Do we think
Hits are tough
Salah's
this week.
Do we think Salah's going to play?
Well, yeah, I was going to mention that. We haven't even talked about it, have we? An obvious move could be Haaland to Krupi and any midfielder. Say Saka doesn't start. You guys don't think he starts, do you?
No.
I don't think he does after that.
So let's say Haaland doesn't
those
start and
comments
Saka
again.
doesn't start. An easy move would be Krupi Jr. to forward, and then you've got loads of money in the bank, by the way, if you just do Saka to Salah. You've got about
Do you
8
think
million.
Slot will let Salah play after his message?
Probably, but I don't know. No idea.
Can you believe we're talking about Mo Salah, like one of the Premier League's greatest ever players, in his final game for Liverpool, and like we're just not asked? Like it's such a shame. It's such a shame. Like after last season as well, like all the pain he caused us, Luke, week after week after week. Fast forward 1 year, and then suddenly he's not even like he's fit. and he's not even being talked about as an option.
This
we
is
should,
his
all,
comeuppance.
we should all be captaining him this week. Like, if you think about the history.
Well, do you think there's a chance, because we haven't had press conferences, something as big as that might actually be asked to Slot? Are you going to play Salah? Someone might be as straightforward, and he might give us an answer. Yeah, he'll be starting, despite all that. And if that happens, will it change people's mind?
He's been so bad.
He still doesn't want him. He still doesn't want him.
Would you?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll throw it back to you. If you were given a guaranteed start for Salah in 38, would you move for him?
Well, I've only got one free transfer, and I literally can't do it without a hit, so no.
No.
That's another differential, by the way. This is the lamest differential out there, right? But you could just save your free transfer, and if you, when you end the season, if you're level with people, if you've used less, then you get a higher rank, don't you?
God. Right.
You laugh,
do
but
you know
that's
what?
probably about a 40k rise, if not
That
more,
is,
for a lot of people.
if that's what it's come to now, where
I'm telling you.
there's one thing saving a free transfer during the season
That's
to
what
an
Harry's
FPL
gonna do.
Harry. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's another thing to. I mean, he's going to win the bloody game. The amount of transfers he's saved this.
That's what I'm saying.
this year.
That might be worth 100k. Probably not to him at his rank, but
Oh my God,
you know,
that
to
is-
you as that's probably worth 200k. Mate.
Don't bring me into this. I've made loads of transfers. They've just all been terrible. One extra one isn't going to save me. Yeah, Andy, if you had 2 transfers, would you bring in Salah?
No.
Good. Good.
No. If we get a leak and we know he's starting, it could tempt people, but I don't think I would. No.
Okay, cool.
What about Forest forward? They were crazy for goals, going 4-4-2. Wood
What,
for old
Igor
times
Jesus?
on penalties, or or Jesus.
It's just like 60, 70 minutes, isn't it?
I think
Probably.
Gibbs White's there as well, isn't he? That's the thing.
Igor Jesus, maybe.
Yeah, I just don't know if there's going to be many mid moves. I think it's only really well, actually, I suppose Saka and Cherky are options that people
Yeah.
could be looking at removing. So fair enough.
Rogers.
I really like the
Yeah.
Gibbs move this week, by the way. I think if we don't get any news and nothing happens, like he's probably going to be my move.
Yeah,
in
but
this
going
week.
by your mantra, you said that, or I don't know if it was you actually, could have been Andy, but about the World Cup and why play him if you're then going to not play in the World Cup? And
Well, I
what?
think
I
he's
don't
playing.
think he's called up yet, is he?
He's
For
playing for a
definite?
place.
When do they do the announcement? Do they do the announcement before
After
the
the
games?
season.
I think they do it before the games, don't they?
Do they?
Well, they've done
I thought it was
Brazil.
after for some reason.
I think
Yeah,
I thought
but-
it was before, but maybe I'm wrong because I heard a lot of people saying, "Oh, they're going to want to play well to get in the World Cup squad." But I thought the announcement came before the games, which kind of defeats that. You can put on all the show you want, but you haven't been selected. You ain't getting in, mate.
I should
Something you
look
should
it
probably
up.
check it.
I'm looking up the call up. Any? Let's know in the chat if you can tell us when the call up is. Can't see a.
I might have been hoodwinked by someone.
I was surprised that Friday the 22nd of May.
So
You have
before
not
the games,
been. You have not been
So 2
hoodwinked.
days.
yeah. So all this World Cup, play well, put him in the spotlight. You, if anything, you might get an announcement like Foden, you're not in the team anymore, and he's like, "Fuck it, I'm not turning up on Sunday."
The thing is, you could argue. I mean, he played in the last game, didn't he, with a face mask on? So if he said he's fit to play that and he's scoring and stuff, I think you just let him play, don't you?
Yeah.
Well, it's not about is it? Again, you part of the argument that we make for some players is just funny, isn't it? How well they don't want to risk it because he could risk his whole World Cup. Well, why play in a nothing game then? Just say I'd rather take this one off because I don't want to miss the World Cup, mate. Like, these are conversations that could happen, right? With individuals.
I would like to say,
doubt it. You don't know. But
it
they
was
could.
Andy who said about the managers protecting players. I don't think they really care.
Yeah.
I think
I
they just.
probably
I
don't
think if
either,
they've
but-
got, I think Forest will want to finish the season on a high. Pereira is, he's one of 5 managers this season.
Why
like,
will they want to finish this season on a high? They've survived. Like, what can they do? Just get a couple more points.
All these narratives. It's all about out of our control anyway, isn't it?
I think a manager like
all random
Carrick is
numbers.
very different to a manager like Pereira, who's he's probably already under pressure in the summer going into the bloody transfer window, knowing the
he's fine.
owners there.
He's fine.
I don't know.
His owner's completely stable. He's fine.
I think Gibbs White will definitely start the weekend. That's the only point I'm trying to make. We're not going to do predictions because we're going to talk about those on Saturday. We will just quickly talk through our ideas for transfers this week, see how they change in the next couple of days. When the World Cup squad comes out, we all change our ideas. I don't know why I'm mocking you, Lou. That was actually quite a good bit of knowledge. It's good for us all to know that. This is mine. I've got Raya in goal and Gabriel, Munoz. We didn't even talk about. We could have predicted for Palace as well. God knows what team they're going to put out. Although at least Glasner has said that he's going to play a strong. He has said he's going to play a strong team. Whether that's changed now because Arsenal won the league, I don't know. But the signs were from that press conference that he said, we're going to make a couple of minute early subs, but
Yeah.
I think we're going to go pretty strong. So. That's good news because I've got 3 defenders. Munoz, Justin, I've got Bruno Fernandes, Eze, Hinshelwood, Endai, Welbeck, Calvert-Lewin and Haaland, Henderson, Cherky, Lacroix and O'Reilly on the bench. I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing.
We got 1 free transfer.
I've got 1 free transfer. I'd like to get in Gibbs White somehow, so I could just do Eze to Gibbs White and just get rid of that headache. I'm not completely against it anyway. It's not like Eze's been doing anything when I've played him anyway. So and the fact that he was in that party at 5 o'clock walking around the Emirates does put me off. So it could be Eze to Gibbs White, or if we do get news that Foden starts, I think I'd do Cherky to Foden and play him over Eze. But yeah, I honestly I can very much see all of my Palace players coming in,
right? Because they're more expensive, these guys.
Yeah, I've got like 1.5 in the banks, Matt.
Okay.
Yeah, or I could do Haaland to Richarlison and target that. I don't know. There's a few things. It's very hard to say. Gibbs White is number 1 target at the moment, though. Luke.
Yeah, just rely on leaks, obviously, but Verbruggen or Darlow, I still don't know which one to play there, to be honest. Any thoughts?
Probably Darlow.
Probably Darlow. I think Man U score, especially if you're captaining Fernandes. Yeah,
but do you not think the whole narrative is West Ham have to score and they're going to score and Leeds don't have anything to play for? Like, saying people have to score or not, I don't know. I don't know what the odds were saying, but I think that's close. I think that's pretty close. I feel like Verbruggen's got more chance.
West Ham are just a bad team, and Leeds are a good team. Like, they were a bit lucky against us, but they're still a good side.
I still think with Verbruggen, you'd think if nothing else, he'll make a load of saves if Bruno Fernandes is doing what he did in the last game. Because half our strikers can't finish their dinner, so even when he passes to them, they terrible shots. But anyway, Verbruggen in goal at the moment might change that. I've got Hill starting. I don't know, just because I think he's probably going to play. So I don't want to play Van Heck if I can get away with it. We just talked about Brighton and Man United. And then O'Reilly would obviously start for me if I feel like he's going to play. But at the moment, probably not. The thing is, my team's so bad that it's kind of what I mentioned, like in the defensive areas, like playing Munoz versus Arsenal and Gabriel versus Crystal Palace. Like there's a world where neither of those two play as well. So suddenly I'm in a position where I've only got Hill and maybe Van Heck. And then it's like, yeah, so then do I want to make the defender transfer? Because that at least gives me guaranteed 3 defenders, which you have to have. So my move at the moment is probably O'Reilly to Porro, or Munoz to Porro. It's probably the most sensible move. But, I mean, I think Spurs probably concede, and I just cry about it afterwards. But
And just to be clear, you're benching the best captain option this week.
Who's that? Gross. Well, look at my midfield. I mean, midfield has been terrible. Szoboszlai, I can't bench him, can I, versus Brentford? He's surely going to play. I hope he's going to play. There's a lot of assumptions being made here. Bruno probably as captain because, again, it depends. Even if Haaland starts, then probably be him captain, but I don't know. Bruno G, he's going to hopefully play versus Fulham. Quite excited about that. Hope he's going to do well there. Saka versus Palace, is he going to play?
No.
Okay, so straight away again, I've got to now bring in Gross, I think, probably, or Van Heck for him.
I just can't see it. I just can't. I know you do make a good point about the minutes building up stuff, but the minutes are being built up now. I think it's all about not risking him and not getting an injury for him. Surely.
So he went for his first 90 versus Burnley, and then he goes 12 days without anything. He's going to come on. He's going to go on the pitch, I think. Especially for the guard.
I think he might. Yeah, he might come on the pitch, but he's not. I would be amazed if he started. Of all the Arsenal players, he'd be the one I'd be most amazed.
So the chances are we don't get any leak, right? Because we don't.
No.
You know. So what do I do with Saka? Do you guys think he doesn't start? So do I start him in my team because he's probably getting 20 minutes according to you guys?
Yeah. I mean, we might know whether he's travelled or not. I guess. Like he might still be in a hotel with his face down and a bowl of cocaine. I don't know.
Where's that come from?
You see him at 5 o'clock outside the Emirates.
Exactly.
Well, you said it was a party. They were just strolling around, weren't they? Taking in the sights.
Yeah, they were.
Jesus Christ.
Strolling around North London at 5 a.m.
Why not? Why not? It's beautiful out there. Yeah, so I suppose, it's all good sitting there. I'm going to have a lead. I kind of have to make the decisions now on some of these guys. Like Saka, am I going to start him for a perceived 20 minutes? I think he probably might start longer than that, but that's probably from a hopium place because I need him to start ready for my team. So I don't know about that one. Calvert-Lewin, I think I've just probably play him versus West Ham. Again, I don't think he's 100% nailed, but Yeah, surely plays. Pedro, we still don't have the news. The thing with Pedro, I think it's more likely to be, and maybe again I'm grasping at straws, it's going to be like a 90 or 0. Well, not 90, but start, play a lot of minutes or 0. He's either going to be out injured or he's going to play like 70. You guys agree with that or not?
Yeah, no, I think so.
I don't think he plays.
I don't think he plays, but I agree that it's either he's out or he...
So that's another one down on my team. Haaland, we've already discussed, got no idea. So yeah, I don't know what I'm doing. I highly doubt my 11 ends up looking like that. I'll probably end up having to use a lot on my bench, and it's probably Porro in for like O'Reilly or Munoz, or maybe Krupi in for Haaland or Pedro if they don't play.
Yep.
Something like that.
Andy?
Yeah. So I've got Raya, Saliba and Gabriel. There's a world where all three start, and there's a world where none of them start. I've also got O'Reilly.
I think you've got the best chance. Having 3 defenders, I think you've got the best chance.
Well, yeah, I mean, I said that earlier. I do think if you've got attackers, I think it's just a complete lottery who's going to play and how many minutes they're going to get. There's every chance Raya, Saliba and Gabriel play. Honestly, I don't know which way it's going to go. Raya is probably the one that I feel most is at risk. I feel like Kepa could get that game. So, yeah, and then I've got O'Reilly at the back with Van Hecker and Lacroix on the bench. So I'm hoping that those two are at least cover if I need them. Then I've got Cherky, Bruno, Hinchelwood, Bruno G and Rodgers in the middle. Rodgers, I mean, they've just won 3-0 Europa League final. Will he be available? Who knows? Someone's got to play in that game, and obviously Rodgers tends to be the one that plays every single game. Hinchelwood looks good, Bruno looks good, Bruno G looks good, Cherky, who knows again. I've put him as he could start. I would not be shocked at all if he wasn't starting. And then I got Welbeck, Thiago and Haaland up top. Welbeck and Thiago will play, you would have thought, because obviously they're still going for it. And then Haaland, I do have Henderson on the bench, so at least he could, come in for Raya if needed. I've got 2 free transfers, which I think is really nice this week.
Have you now?
So it's what I do. I really like the look of Porro as well, especially after looking at those stats that we just looked at there. I think Porro could be a good move in if I feel like any of those defenders don't play. If we get a leak that O'Reilly doesn't start, I could easily make that move. But then I've also got Van Hecker there if I need to as well. I think I probably will end up doing a midfielder move, because Cherky and Rodgers, I'd be surprised if both of those start, but we'll see what happens. So 2 free transfers means I'm quite flexible, and I can wait for leaks and see what happens. And I can also move someone down and move someone up. If Haaland doesn't play, I can go to anybody for free. So yeah, I feel like I'm in an okay position, but I could easily be absolutely screwed this week. So I think everybody's in that same place, aren't they?
I think the other good thing about you having the 2 centre-backs is that they're very unlikely to come on as well. So, and you've got Van Heck and Lacroix, who will probably fine this week. So yeah, if you could do O'Reilly to Porro and Cherky to Gibbs White or whoever, and
it's different to the City ones, isn't it? Because City being at home, they want to maybe bring them on, take them off, whatever it is, because you want the crowd to obviously give them a cheer. Crystal Palace away for Arsenal, I don't really feel like that's going to happen, is it?
No.
So, yeah, I could get lucky. If I get 2 of the 3 starting, I think I've done very well.
Yep. Nice. Lovely stuff. I think that's pretty much it from us tonight. Like I said, we'll be back on Saturday, talk through some of the predictions, talk a bit more about some of the issues a lot of us are facing. We'll do some team ratings and talk a bit more about our seasons gone past, so do join us for that. We had 1 super chat on the stream. That was from Davies Family. Thank you very much. And thank you, Davies Family. You've obviously been in lots of these streams over the year. Really appreciate all your support. If no leaks, priority in order of selling benching: O'Reilly, Gabriel, Semenyo, Saka, Gyökeres and Haaland. 2 free transfers with Strout, Van Heck, Hill and Tav on the bench. So out of those 5, I think we're all agreeing that O'Reilly is probably the most at risk of all of those. None of us had him in the starting lineup. And there's Vardiol and Aiden already there.
Well, you guys
said
said
the
Saka
2
as
Arsenal
well,
attackers as well. Yeah, I think Saka and Gyökeres are...
I think with O'Reilly, there's 2 players who can play his position if Aitnor is fit. If Aitnor is not fit, it increases his chance because it's only Gvardiol, really. Now, Ake could, but not really. But he also plays in midfield as well. So if he gives Rodri a rest and he doesn't play Kovacic again, it's O'Reilly versus Gonzalez. So O'Reilly still does have roots to play, and he has, but I just don't think he does, because he's been used so much, and he's also, when the games were close and he was having these cramps, he kept coming off and getting little bits of rest. So why chance it?
Well, I've got O'Reilly, Semenyo and Haaland to start. and Gabriel actually. So if my predictions are right, you're fine. I don't think Luke's got any of those. Oh no, you've got Saka, haven't you?
I've got Saka, O'Reilly, and Haaland, and Gabriel. I've got nearly all of them, mate.
Oh, is that you? Sorry, Andy, you're the one who went for the no Arsenal, the weak Arsenal 11.
Yeah, so I had no Saka, no Gyökeres. In terms of what I predicted, yeah. I've got a feeling Havertz will start the Champions League final because they look better with Havertz.
Same.
So there is a chance that Gyökeres starts, but I think they don't. I don't think they take a risk on either.
Jesus
they play Jesus.
He's just too obvious, right?
Because also, if Havertz isn't working, you bring Gyökeres on. At least he's a goal scorer in Europe. I just don't see them taking the risk. But I could be very wrong. I'm not a Premier League manager, so.
I think the most obvious move here is O'Reilly to Porro. Personally, I just think that's just a nice move. Or Saka.
Or Mavropanos. Mavropanos is another defender.
Yeah, the models like him. Reviews very hot on Mavropanos. When you see all the content creators bringing him in, you know where that's come from. Or Saka to Gibbs White. I like. Or Mbumo. We talked a bit about Mbumo. Great underlying stats. Hope he gets some of those chances in. They'd be my two priorities.
I think O'Reilly and Gyökeres. Gyökeres, you could easily be wrong, like massively wrong, and he could start and be great. But everything we've shown so far is like he's not. I mean, he just doesn't play all the minutes. Even if he starts, it could be 50, 60. So I just feel like, and he's a forward. So it's just like, I don't really like Gyökeres, and I think O'Reilly's too risky. The other ones you keep.
Andy?
Yeah, no,
Top
same. Top two in terms of priority getting rid of.
Yep.
Yeah, I'd say O'Reilly, and I mean it's joint between Saka and Gyökeres, I think, for me.
Yep. Lovely stuff. Well, that's it from us. Thank you all so much for all your support over the year. Obviously, we'll see you all again on Saturday, so do check that out. But if this is your last one, thanks again for tuning in, and thanks to both of you. You know, it's the final proper Black Box episode. So we hit 200 episodes. We've kept it going. We've barely missed any over the year. And it's been great to do this with you both for 38 weeks, even though I've hated every second of the actual FPL season. Black Box has remained really good.
Massive shout out to you as well, Oaz. You obviously get the streams ready every week and you keep going. It's easy to do that when you're doing very, very well. When you're not doing so well, it's not easy to grind that out every week. No. So appreciation to you as well.
Well, thank you very much.
And it wasn't clear, I do absolutely nothing towards this.
I don't know. You sent us some of the graphics today, which was very helpful.
Yeah.
Well,
and you
I
do
saw
your
someone else
every
do
week.
the work, and I copied them. Yeah,
Got a bit of a loving at the end of this episode. Great stuff. Yeah, the three of us will be back next season. There will be a retrospective. I will do that at some point. I don't know if you want to do your own retrospective, Andy. I'll probably do my own one of those. We can look at those. Maybe get top 100k. You can talk about what went so well. Luke, obviously, you're more than welcome to. But yeah, let's have a bit of fun on Saturday. Let's have a few beers, a bit of a party atmosphere, celebrate the end of the season, and we'll see you on the next one.
Cheers.
Go on, Luke.
Bye. You know why I didn't do it.
Do it.
Bye.